Some stand above the rest. Some are just unique. In the case of racetracks, it's usually because they offer an unusual challenge to drivers. And in the case of NORC, it's usually the mix of incredible talent and personalities that choose to accept those challenges, much like this evening at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome to the virtual Hampton, Georgia. Emerson Arden and Trey Shuttlesworth alongside this evening. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and for the first time in far too long, I welcome you all to this evening's Pit Stop TV coverage of the NORC iRacing Series. Season 13 rages on, taking no prisoners and certainly handing some wins to Daniel Falkingham along the way. With just two final opportunities for drivers to lock into the NORC Season 13 chase, Emerson, things are getting rather spicy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to just kick it right off, taking a look at the point standings. Of course, Falkingham with the 5 wins after the dominant performance at Road America again, leading 100% of the laps on road courses this season. Daniel Falkingham did. Truly remarkable feat. But now, again, last mile and a half in the regular season, and then next week at Legacy Daytona, this whole point standings could really shake up, especially where it gets really tight on the second page. You have Hertzeg, of course, 3 wins on the season. We know how he is about tire saving at these mile and a halves, especially if they go green. And tonight, a mile and a half that really relies on tire saving. Hertzeg will definitely be one to watch. And then Oxendine, Shutt, buried the top 5. Pancari, Jared Darling, Zach Lindgren, Will Klein, and Aaron Smith, the top 10 that are locked in, though, Andrew.
A big tie-breaking win last week for Daniel Falkingham puts him at 5 on the season, 9 all-time. And if you're wondering, if you're keeping track like we do, that tie, breaks a tie that he had with John Barry, Anthony Emery, and Justin Lisenby, and now ties him with Benjamin Nelson, former eNASCAR Pro Series driver. So certainly good company that Daniel Falkingham is entering at this point in the season. If you're wondering, if you're looking at the numbers throughout this point standing graphic and wondering why Cody Miller leads the right side of the graphic even though he's 18th in points, well, he is the current wild card. Now, Femi Olot, I will say, just to clear things up, Femi Olot would currently occupy the other wild card position. However, knowing that Femi has Pro Series obligations, he has given up his spot even though he is in the top 30 and has 3 wins and would, well, then take the 12th spot. So, Sheldon Lockey currently makes it in on points. So, you can see the wildcard criteria along the bottom of this graphic. 2 wildcard positions will be added to the chase field, going to the top 2 drivers outside of the top 10 in points, or to the next highest drivers in points. I think that's kind of redundant, actually, the way I reworded it there. But basically, if you have a win and you're outside the top 12, you then get to wild card your way in. So Cody Miller, he's 18th in points, but because he's got the win and he's outside the top 12, he moves up and currently occupies the 11th position, bumping Sheldon Lockey to 12th. It's a little bit confusing at first, but honestly, it actually helps simplify things. It takes the current tie that we would have with Hallie Briss and Sean Williams and forces them to gain 5 points if they want to move in. And it's actually helping further lock guys like Zach Lindgren, Will Klein, and Aaron Smith into this. Now, they're not locked in by any stretch of the imagination, but it's getting a lot closer for those guys. Even Jared Darling, it's getting a lot closer having that win. I think you could just about lock Brett Pancari on up, though. Emerson, looking at the way things are shaking out, and certainly with Brett Pancari's win from Auto Club Speedway, he would at the very least wild card his way into the chase. So things are looking good if you're 6th place on up. Still looking pretty good if you're Jared Darling, Zach Lindgren, Will Klein. But when you get down to, well, even Aaron Smith is a pretty good bubble. It's really, if you're on the left side, you're good. If you're on the right side, you're not so good. But enough about points. Let's talk about the racetrack we've got this evening, because we've had certainly quite the schedule so far for Season 13. We are, of course, at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, somewhere that I got very familiar with over the course of the summer, Emerson. We're not quite on the Thunder Ring that you can see on the left side over by the grandstands on the front stretch, but this 1.54-mile intermediate track will definitely give you a kick in the shorts.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, 1.54, a little bit longer than the traditional mile and a half, and it does make a little bit of a difference. You get down to these corners, though, and it's the aged surface really makes these cars, any stock car, really a lot of fun around Atlanta, especially if they run that bottom line, that's traditionally termed Harvicking, because of course Kevin Harvick, very dominant driver in the Cup Series. In real life at this track, runs right up against that white line here, paints that white line of his left side tires. If you're on that, especially in a higher horsepowered stock car like these Xfinity cars with 650 horsepower, that's a lot of fun. You'll see these drivers really fight that wheel. It's going to be a blast tonight, though, to see who can keep their cars pretty much in check, keep those right side tires happy, the rear tire from sliding, the right front from pushing. You can keep those tires happy, you'll be in good shape.
Absolutely going to be a battle of track versus driver all night long. If you follow along on our social media, you'll see that we posted a video of rim riding around the wall here. It certainly adds some distance, but if you can do it right, you can actually go just a little bit faster and potentially run a line that nobody else is running and beat somebody with it. Of course, you're never going to beat somebody by doing the exact same thing they're doing, so it's important to get offline and see what you can find around the racetrack. I mentioned that schedule, Emerson. This is what we're looking at for the entire season. We're now at race number 17. Crazy to believe that. Race 17 of 25. The last one I was here for was race 10. So what is that? I guess 6 races right in the middle. Nashville Auto Club, the 2 Talladega races, Martinsville and Road America. Back here at Atlanta, 1 week earlier than I expected. Something went, well, we'll just say something went awry. Down at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the summer shootout, I was able to drive back up here real quick and make it for Atlanta. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to see how the stories will change over these next couple of weeks heading up to the chase. We do want to take a step aside momentarily for our quick pre-race break. This is saying post-race break. Pre-race break here. A quick message from our partners at Pit Stop TV.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway, looking across from the legend of Bandolero Garage. Isn't that fitting after, well, I'm actually here on a Tuesday for once. Do want to talk about the weather right quick. Emerson, obviously, Atlanta Motor Speedway is known for being, well, hot Atlanta. It is rather warm, fittingly. 85 degrees in the air, just about 117 degrees on the racing surface. It's getting toasty-er, actually, with the sun coming back out. You notice there was some cloud cover when we first began our coverage, so certainly watching those temps, and I'm sure these drivers are as well, and they're going to watch those temps in qualifying here in just a few moments.
Oh, absolutely. 117 degrees Fahrenheit. These tires already on the aged surface are not going to enjoy the time here at Atlanta, and now adding that track temp into play that continues to rise as we go on through the session, it's going to be quite the challenge. And like I said, keeping the tires happy is going to be objective number 1.
Very certainly. Now, I mentioned our social media a few moments ago as we see the practice times left side of your screen. Tommy Gossett leading the way. Daniel Falkingham checks in at second place. The reason Daniel Falkingham is so relevant is because we have a Who Ya Yacht post up on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, asking, well, who you've got for today's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Daniel Falkingham, Zoltan Herczeg, or the field. Now, Daniel and Zoltan are this season's most frequent winners and most recent winners, and it seems fitting then that they would lead things off, and they're your first couple of options then for who you got. Let us know in the YouTube chat because we've got it there as well. So if you're watching along on our YouTube channel on Pit Stop TV, you can let us know who you think is going to win this evening, who you've got this evening at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Daniel Falkingham, Zoltan Herczeg, or somebody else in the field as we roll into our 5-minute qualifying session. Some 28 or 30 drivers here ready to get things rolling at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. First up, Brett Pancari heading out onto the racing surface.
Yeah, and we saw Brett Pancari, of course, take that win at Auto Club. Brett Pancari getting up to speed here, and it is so tricky on that apron. Hot track temp age surface, and then it's just so slippery down there, trying to keep your car right up against that white line to build up as much speed as you can. But we saw Brett Pancari get it done at the Auto Club Speedway with another very old surface on the NASCAR schedule. It'll be interesting to see if any of that translates here to Atlanta.
Pancari taking things easy, a little bit up the racetrack, but we'll now check in with John Berry across the start-finish line, beginning his lap, and it looks like he's taking a much quicker approach of things. And look at this, run on the top side. This almost looks like our social media post, doesn't it? Right up on the top, hooking that seam, that top seam, if you will, and not getting too close to the wall. It's tough to get up there and use the new wall proximity here on iRacing, at least at Atlanta, but you can certainly hook that seam and kind of use that as your reference.
Absolutely, those left sides on the seam will help the car turn a little bit, and if you can get up there to how brave you are, could really add some speed to it. Now, I don't know if that's the line he's trying to go with, or if he's just trying to build up speed on this first lap. We'll see here in the 1. David Shutt goes fastest, and that is the line. John Berry is electing to run in quali, but David Shutt, you see, on the bottom of the racetrack.
Way down low in the basement almost, but Terrell Baker, TCB, a little bit slower, but still pretty fast. You see now the right side dinged up. He's just had a moment out of turn number 2. It looks like he's gotten into the fence, so problems there. Looks like that's the best run that he'll have. Spencer Ray currently checking in at 3rd place. There's his Apex Action Photography number 6 car, sporting the Nate Stewart Company on his hood inside. And look at that, John Berry goes faster. Up to a pole, provisional pole so far for John Berry. Quick time for the 74. A couple of other cars on the speedway. Here is Jared Darling rolling out for his time in the Oreo Michael Annette throwback. Love seeing that as well on the speedway. Some other cars out there. Josh Robin is on the speedway.
Yeah, and Josh Robin, again, a little bit of momentum here as we get towards the end of the regular season. Could go a long way here. We're right on board, coming through the very treacherous quad oval here at Atlanta. And that first time, actually, he's just started a timed lap. So we'll get to right on board a little bit here on Josh Robin's first timed lap, right in the middle of the racetrack.
Taking things very easy. I have to wonder if some of these guys might be going for back-of-the-field times just to advance ahead of some of the guys that aren't going to qualify this afternoon, but to stay rather towards the back. And if you look through past winners here at Atlanta and through most NORC races, they do often come from the back, even though they're the top drivers in the series. That's because a lot of these guys, they opt not to qualify, or they intentionally qualify towards the rear of the field. I mean, you go back to guys like, let's see, in 2017, Season 6, Femi Olot. We know Femi. He now runs for Joe Gibbs in the eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series on Tuesday evenings. He started 26th en route to victory here. That just goes to show that some of these guys, they do want to start in the back. And Zoltan Herczeg, though, I bet, is going to try and go forward a lot like some of those guys like John Berry, David Shutt, James Simmons atop the scoring pylon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Zoltan, because we usually talk about him working his way through the field. We think back to Kansas and Kentucky. We saw him come up out of nowhere as Ariati goes top of the charts in the final 90 seconds here qualifying. We'll watch Zoltan work that outside there in the 1, and now we'll find Ariati on the bottom side of the racetrack out of 2.
Jared Darling now up to 2nd place. How about that from the driver out of Illinois? And then Tommy Gossett goes even faster. Where was that speed in the double O? Well, actually, I say that he did lead practice. Look at that brand spanking new lefty machine. I think that's what he called it on social media. This is pretty cool. A little bit of a nod there to Noah Sweet, the Twitter popular designer. He's got a great thing going for him in that Discord and everything he does over there at Lefty Designs. That said, Zoltan Herczeg now up to 3rd in qualifying. We're waiting for that number 20 car to check in. Tommy Gossett goes even faster in the double lot, and we're waiting for Daniel Falkingham to come across the line. Here he comes.
Falkingham through the quad oval. This is going to be his first timed lap, I believe, and at the line, he will put it fourth quickest.
Look at that, 1/1000th off of Zoltan Herzeg. Now Zoltan goes faster. That's the precedent that Daniel Falkingham is going to have to meet this evening. Down the backstretch, he'll go 18 seconds, 17 seconds left in qualifying. Rim riding the top, it's going to be close.
He have this timed out. Will he make it to the line? I mean, if he does make it, it's going to be with inches to spare on that timer. 5
4,
seconds.
3, 2, 1. Across the line. Faster. By 2.5 1/100ths of a second, Emerson. That's what he just got that spot by. My goodness, we've got one heck of a grid to go down then. Let's go ahead and get it started with our Whiplash Media starting grid from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The field getting into their cars, starting on pole this evening. It's going to be none other than Tommy Gossett, Outlaw himself, in the double aught with the mainer, Daniel Falkingham, to his outside. So 00 and 2-0 on the front row. Starting third this evening, it's going to be Zoltan Herzeg in that number 96, with Ariati alongside in the 23. Starting in the 5th position, you're going to have Jared Darling out of Illinois. Pretty fast-looking number 1 he's got this evening as well, with John Berry, league owner, to his outside. Starting 7th place this evening from Atlanta, you're going to have David Shutt in the 5, with James Simmons to the 50, in the 57 to his outside. And to round out your top 10, Emerson Arden, it's TCB and Spencer Ray.
Yeah, we'll follow our way back to row number 6. We'll find Zach Lindgren and Cole Freilich. A couple drivers looking for some great runs here tonight to set themselves up for this postseason run. How about row number 7? We'll find Brett Pincari and Howie Briss. All the way back to row number 8, it'll be Josh Robin in V8 and Hayes Booth in the double 1 to the outside. Row number 9, it'll be Will Klein and Aaron Smith. And back to row number 10, it'll be driver of the number 24, Bobby Cheney, and the 28 of Cody Miller.
Starting in the 21st position this evening from Atlanta, we're going to have Tom Mercier in that number 68, with the number 69 to his outside, Sheldon Lockie. A couple of rivals there. I can't wait to see how this one goes. If you watch NORC Radioactive, you'll know what I'm talking about. Starting 23rd this evening, it's going to be none other than Sean Williams in the 89, with Elijah Gracia in the number 42 to his outside. Starting 25th, it's Nicholas Kressel in the 30, Patrick Colby to his outside in the 9. Starting 27th, Justin Day in the 39, with Michael Keithley to his outside in the 53. That does it. 28 cars turned out this evening for action from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, the surface that is currently being torn up, reprofiled, resurfaced, and everything in between for 2022. Certainly, we'll say a controversial switch. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited to see what happens with the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Obviously, we know the plans, but we'll see how it all works out for them in years to come. You can see Zoltan Herzeg there in the number 97, Daniel Falkingham. Certainly, I think these two are your favorites for the championship at this point in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. But if somebody can really get a run going here starting at Atlanta today, who knows where the momentum shift can swing as we get later into the season, and if somebody, really bring the heat. But of course, Falkingham, Herzeg, two drivers we always look forward to pretty much every week at these NORC events.
Absolutely. There's a lot to look forward to every Tuesday that we get ready for some NORC racing, and I think the battling that those two do has to be towards the top of the list. As the field comes by us here in turn number 3, we get ready, we get set to turn these boys loose for the first time this evening from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Again, Tommy Gossett on pole. That's pretty cool to see as well in that 00. As we get ready to turn these guys loose, it wouldn't be the start to a NORC race without the one, the only, Terrell Baker. I have to search for him. There he is. I think he got moved up in preparation, but TCB, buddy, take it away.
Can I get a good old Hotlanta? Yeah!
Down the back stretch for the first time. The field goes by us. The front starting to single file out. Gossett now going to work the bottom side. What can he find to the inside of Daniel Falkingham? Nothing. Falkingham seals off that bottom, takes the race lead on lap number 1.
What an amazing initial start from the 20 of Daniel Falkingham. Exactly what he needed. Here comes Herzeg working his way to the inside quickly of Tommy Gossett, and the one he'll click off into the second position on lap number 2.
Look at this in behind. James Simmons working the bottom side. TCB in behind. You got John Barry outside. And Jared Darling in 5th, leading this gaggle of race cars. 3 wide down the backstretch. They'll sort it out for turn 3.
Yeah, again, double wide, and you really do want to get yourself worked out here, at least to the line. You want to start working really, really early in this race. You don't want to be using up your tires this early because it's going to be all for naught when you're getting driven past 20 laps later. But on board with Cole Freilich as he looks at the gaggle in front of him, and Zoltan goes fastest in his chase of Daniel Falkingham.
And you can see really nothing happening up ahead of these guys in this gaggle. Now Darling up high, and Freilich sticks it underneath. He gets by, well, at least alongside John Barry, looking for the pass. It looks like he should have it done into turn 3 this time by. Cole's going to try it. Well, still side by side, he will go with the 74. Jared Darling going to stay in front of that 15 car. That's pretty important for Jared's chase effort. You can see, though, TCB on his way up. Now, he had a great run a couple of weeks back at Martinsville. Certainly, I think, turning his season around. He's now into the top 20 and has a shot potentially to make it into the playoffs still.
Absolutely. Oh, near contact there. I believe that's Simmons and Shutt going out off of turn 2. And Simmons wants to go forward, and he's doing so aggressively on lap 4. TCB trying to follow suit.
That's the big thing about James Simmons in that 57 car, is he is always aggressive and showing it certainly so far this evening. He does clear that 5 car, brings TCB along with him, and they will move on up to start battling with Tommy Gossett.
Yeah, Tommy Gossett, he fired off, very fast in practice, and of course got the pole in qualifying. I wonder if this is more of him trying to save his stuff for the race, because we got a battle for lead, though.
Yeah, as soon as we start talking about Tommy there, of course, Zoltan Hergzay going to take it now to Daniel Falkingham. Looks down to the inside that time in turn 3. No dice just yet, but he is there, and he wants the race lead. So isn't this just perfect? We ask about, who you got, who do you pick to win this afternoon at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the 2 drivers that we select are the 2 drivers leading the way so far. Daniel Falkingham still leading over Zoltan Hergzay, now lap 6 of 130, and Zoltan's looking tough. Now down to the bottom side, he'll try one more time. Thought about it, didn't have the run. Oh, maybe he'll try it again. Down to turn 3.
Side by side through 3, but Falkingham will get the arc into the corner. Zoltan keeps his nose down there, coming out of turn number 4. And I have to imagine both of these drivers now have to really turn up the wick here and maybe forego a lot of tire saving through the corner. Falkingham cuts a little short there.
You see the entire field rumbling by, now up out of turn number 2, then we'll go. And I think it's kind of a faux battle as we have a caution flag further back. Oh boy, a few drivers involved. Justin Day, one of them, Elijah Gracia, another. There is Justin Day. Cody Miller is in it, along with several others. Michael Keithley as well.
Yeah, big accident back here. It'll be interesting to see what happened, but the field was still so packed up, and honestly, I was a little shocked to see a caution come this many laps into a run. I say this many, it's still single digits. Well, here's the replay here. It's Michael Keithley up high here on Elijah Gracia. Big pack, 3 wide up ahead.
And you say you're surprised to see the caution. Not anymore when you see the way these guys were racing. 3 wide, and Patrick Colby slams the outside wall. That starts it all off, and that involves Elijah Gracia, Michael Keithley, and more.
Big hits in a series without fast repairs. A lot of nights done very early here at Atlanta, and maybe not what some of these drivers needed.
Certainly not what they needed at all. Here's Patrick Colby across the start-finish line, and he just misjudges the quad oval right there into the wall hard, and that ends up collecting, oh my goodness, Keithley and Gracia, and they have problems, end up collecting Justin Day in the 39, and Cody Miller there on the right side of your screen in number 28.
Oh, man. Big hits like that, and again, I find this so unlikely to happen at Atlanta again. I don't think this is going to be a wreck duplicate. I could be wrong, but I mean, if you're sticking around trying to pick up the scraps of the pieces you get as we ride on board with Cody Miller here, and just really know where he could go.
It looked like the bottom was going to open up for him, but then when Elijah was hit by Justin Day, suddenly that window of opportunity closed up rather quickly, and he no longer had an option, so he's now in the pit lane getting service. You can see the damage to his number 28, and unfortunately, I don't think he is going to contend much of a chance anymore here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. But the rest of the field taxiing down the backstretch, you can see Daniel Falkingham leading us down the back, and I would imagine these guys will stay out. They'll save tires because they know how much tires will matter later on.
Right, and again, they only have 5 sets of tires, a very early caution vote. I don't think we're going to get that many more cautions today. I could be wrong, of course. But 5 sets of tires, 130 laps. You got to space them out a little bit. You know, normally when you think of Atlanta, pretty much every caution you get, you want to get tires. But 5 sets, 130 laps, the map's just not there right now.
A couple of questions out in the chat, and yes, we do have an off week next week at, well, I was going to say at. No, we're not anywhere because we have an off week for August 3rd. Then we are back in action in 2 weeks from this evening at Legacy Daytona. Let's take a look at this schedule one more time, Emerson. And we're coming down to it, obviously, as we talked about so much. Atlanta this evening, 130 laps. This will kind of set things up for a complete wild card to sort out the wild cards, if you will. Then Indianapolis kicks things off kind of in mid-August. I think on August it will be 17th. Then Texas, Bristol, Dirt, Darlington, Phoenix, Chicagoland, and Vegas. And I'm not really getting all that excited about Bristol Dirt, even though I am excited about Bristol Dirt. I'm just not, I don't know, I didn't have the little excited note, but that is going to be a spectacle and a half.
Absolutely. You know, it could really bring somebody out, especially if somebody just makes it into the playoffs barely. They're needing a good run early on. Maybe you have to rough Indianapolis or Texas. Bristol Dirt, if you're really good at that dirt racing and you could wrestle a 650 horsepowered stock car around Bristol Dirt, that might just be your race to put yourself right back in title contention.
Yeah, certainly. There will be a select few, I think, that do really, really well there at Bristol Dirt. And the lone trip to Bristol as well this season, so very interesting there as well. You can see the field doubled up, ready to get back at it. This will be lap 11 when we come around to collect the green flag here to get things restarted at I almost said the NORC Motor Speedway, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. If you could tell, I'm a little bit rusty, Emerson, but we're going to get these guys going one more time. The pace car dives down to the safety of pit lane. We're going to turn them loose. Down the back, stretched out at turn number 3 one more time. The fight is on for third place, kind of surprisingly, second place rather. As you can see, James Simmons working the top. He got a little bit of help, got up there, and is really challenging the 96 of Zoltan Hergzeg across the line. I think he's got that spot.
Yeah, James Simmons really putting the fight here to Zoltan. We saw how aggressive Zoltan was on the initial start of the race, trying to get up to Falkenham. Was this maybe out of character for Zoltan? Was he maybe pushing too hard? Or is he now realizing maybe he pushed that hard and it's time to save? As Simmons will go by, TCB gets to the outside as well. And another good start for TCB here. We'll see if we can keep it going here. We're only 12 laps in, but a great view at the front right now for the 25.
Yeah, TCB has really been firing off well these last couple of weeks. I think even last week was relatively strong and is certainly moving his way towards the chase. Sorry, last week was Road Atlanta. He was drifting all around. You saw that in Radioactive, didn't you? He was having fun, I'll tell you that much. But you go back to Martinsville, and recent weeks have just been really kind to this 25 car. I wonder if that's going to continue this evening, or if maybe his fight is cut out for him. Cole Freilich, my goodness, buddy. That was a little bit sketchy there into turn number 3 on the outside of Tommy Gossett, making me sound a bit like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Cole's always a fun one to watch. You never know what can happen. I mean, right up there with Tommy Gossett, this is a great battle as it is side by side into one. Actually, I believe he cleared Tommy into one. Actually, they're going 3 wide now with Zoltan way up the track.
Down the back stretch, and Freilich will, I think, draw ahead. Yes, draw ahead for now. Of that double O, and you can see Tommy Gossett falling back now into the hands of Zach Lindgren, somebody who I've spoken with in recent weeks and has really talked about how nervous he is about the chase coming up and trying to make it in. And, you know, he told me a couple of weeks back, granted this was before Martinsville, that he didn't feel safe at all, but things have really gone his way lately, and you can see a little bit of damage there to the left rear of Gossett's double lot machine. But at this point, I'd have to imagine Zach Lindgren is pretty well safe. I'm not going to pull the points up in front of our faces right now, but he's looking pretty solid.
He is, and he's been really stringing together these runs. I think pretty much since Auto Club, these races, I mean, you could kind of forego the Dega duels because anything can happen there. But I think the runs have really started to come for this 85 of Zach Lindgren as he works his way forward on Tommy Gossett, trying to put himself in that 6th position and just trying to put himself in position once again to just kind of put himself into the top 5, into that conversation. If he can keep himself relevant and keep himself in this mix, who knows what might just happen for this 85 car.
And, oh, they're going to fan out 3 wide. Things are changing in this top 10. A driver who pitted under the most recent, well, the one caution so far, Josh Robin in the 8, has new tires. And look at this. To the outside of 3 wide, moves up their mid-corner. Going to make the move stick. Tommy Gossett almost got into him. They're battling up front as well, but Josh Robin is schmooving his way on up there. You can see him now to the top side of Gossett, takes the spots away. Meanwhile, Terrell Baker down to the bottom side for second.
I was about to say, all this was happening pretty much while they were going 3 wide behind. James Simmons had a real shot at the race lead, sent it down to the inside of Falkenham, could not make it stick, and that's now why the 57 was under attack. Now TCB is falling back. Here comes Zoltan, and Josh Robin, he is powering his way forward.
And he's got 10-lap newer tires there. It's on the number 8 car, and it's just that little bit of difference that means he's going to move through this field. The other driver on new tires is David Schutt, but he's had a bit of less luck moving through the field like this. Ariati as well. 3 wide now. Josh Robin down to the bottom side. My goodness, we got 1 car stopped.
And that's a car slow on the bottom side. I believe that was the 39 to Justin Day, and it is. Justin Day just trying to get himself back into this mix. Actually, he's still down the bottom, but working our way forward with Josh Robin. And it's just 8 laps of a difference, but 8 laps at Atlanta on tires is huge. You're watching right now.
And you can see the 8 car now up into second place and rather safely riding the top as well. How about this for a Larson line, ladies and gentlemen, really moving up. James Simmons, meanwhile, has some trouble from TCB and Tommy Gossett. The battle rages on down to turn 3.
Double wide, and Tommy Gossett trying to send it up the inside. That closes up just quickly. James Simmons keeps himself alive on that outside. TCB files back into 5th, and Tommy Gossett, again, after starting on pole, it has not really gone his way, trying to keep himself in this mix and descend to the inside at turn number 1.
Meanwhile, a battle for the race lead. Here we go. Josh Robin wants to lead here at Atlanta. He's got 10-lap newer tires than Daniel Falkingham and started way towards the back on that restart, but is driven through this field. And that Matt Kenseth USG Sheetrock Ford Mustang is moving its way through the field. Side by side for the race lead. Robin down low. Doesn't have it there at the stripe, but I'd imagine next time around he will.
It doesn't matter how much you save tires at Atlanta. 10-lap fresher tires is going to do that, as Robin will power by our point leader and win leader on the season, Daniel Falkingham. And if this goes green, Robin puts himself in a prime position to hold on.
I do want to say as well, Emerson, you were wondering how I was going to fit 5 stars next to Falkingham's name in the points graphic. I'd like to think I did a fine job of it, but look at this. Robin just gapping that 20 car. That's why I love these blimp views so often. You can really see the gap as it opens up and it widens corner after corner. You can see the difference in line as well really clearly. Robin, a little bit of a high entry, bit of a high arc, but right down to the bottom there by late apex. Meanwhile, Falkingham's trying to run up top.
Yeah, and if you look back right there at the top of your screen, just faded out of frame, as Zoltan Hertzeg has cleared the mess once again, and he now set the sights on the 20 of Falkingham. Now, that's pretty much his battle. He, as far as Josh Robin at the moment, with the tire age right now, doesn't have a chance. Falkingham, though, this could be huge.
The gap is staying pretty steady, if not growing right now. And now to turn 1, you can see they're riding up high in turns 1 and 2. A bit of a wider radius on entry. And my goodness, Will Klein comes by, but that is not for position. Will Klein must have pitted rather recently. I'm kind of surprised by that, actually. I'm looking through, and yeah, Will Klein pitted 8 laps ago. That's interesting. I wonder if he's a late entry. Yeah, he's 15 laps down, so Will Klein must have not made the start of the race. You can see he's now working up by these guys. This is actually rather large in the points picture, Emerson, being 15 laps down, stuck in the 26th position. He needs points. He's relatively safe, but not entirely safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Will Klein comes into today's race 9th in that, top 10 that are definitely probably going to make the point standings here. He has only 5 over Aaron Smith, and that's where it gets really tight there, especially if we get a new winner either this week or at Daytona. And Will Klein, it shows just how important it is for him to even come and just gather whatever scraps he can. Say that big wreck took somebody out. He came into this race and is now here, like Elijah Grossi, Michael Keithley. 2 points right there to Will Klein's name, even though he came into this session very late.
Yeah, but he's going to need guys like Jared Darling to have problems, or Zach Lindgren, or Aaron Smith to have problems. Him riding in the back in 26th is certainly going to do him no justice in his chase hopes. Down to the bottom side of race leader Josh Robin. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not for position. Will Klein now going to come in and pit. So I wonder if he's just trying to go out here, run laps, and get the credit for starting and parking. Wonder if he's got other obligations.
That's what it appears to be. I think he just got as many spots as he could with that early race accident. And, oh, is that Zoltan in the wall?
I don't know that was in the wall. I mean, that was just rim riding the top side. He did lose a lot of time, though, at least it looks like. I don't know that he got the wall. If we take to his onboard, I don't see any damage. I think he's just that close.
I think maybe a scare there for Zoltan. We'll get a replay, though, and we'll see what happened. But Zoltan was right up against that outside wall. And again, how brave he can get up there could really pay off in speed. We'll watch here on board with Zoltan.
This is through turns 1 and 2. I mean, he is just running that Larson line to perfection. That is how you get right up on the wall and don't go any further. The driver out of New York, that's impressive.
It's a phenomenal drive from Zoltan. I mean, that takes some bravery more than anything. You can be as good as you want. Oh, now I think he's popped the wall. That right front damage.
Yeah, he has. He definitely has. Let's go look for that. Let's look for the moment that he got the wall. And it was actually this most recent lap in turns 1 and 2. So we praise him for it, and then he goes up there and catches the fence. Let's take a look at things here for Zoltan Herzeg. This is really going to change things up in this battle and move him down through the field. He's already starting to be caught by James Simmons. So you can see, if anything, maybe does he just kind of jump the cushion? Four-wheel slide there. Doesn't happen there. I might have gone one lap too far back, but it happens down in one. Oh! Okay. Saw a little pop to the wall down the concrete portion of the wall in the backstretch. Just barely tapped the wall.
Yeah, that'll happen. These Xfinity cars, they get really tough to drive, especially on the older tires. They'll get hard to handle on the straight. You'll notice it at concrete tracks like Dover, Bristol, and age surfaces like Atlanta and Auto Club. They get really difficult on these straightaways. You're trying to put the power down. At this point to run, you're almost not even full throttle on these straightaways. And maybe Zoltan just a little too happy on the throttle there. Caught the walls. The rear tires were not agreeing with the Racetrack.
You can see very little damage to his number 96, but damage nonetheless. The slightest bit of fender damage. Look at that. I mean, that is nothing. He just got it hard enough to technically get it, really. I mean, the slightest bit of damage. Meanwhile, things are shaking up in the top 10. Tom Mercier had a short-lived run up there and is starting to fall back, it looks like, as Zach Lindgren has moved his way around the number 68. And side by side goes Spencer Ray and Ariati. I think Spencer's actually on his way up through the field. Meanwhile, Brett Pancari is moving up as well, side by side between the 6 and 23.
Yeah, side by side in the turn number 3, and this still, I mean, I know this is, the pack, and this is where all the things happen, but even this far into a run, we're seeing, I think, maybe now more or less, we're seeing the differences in tires. The drivers who pushed at this point are going backwards in the running order, and the drivers who saved are the ones able to go down to that inside, make it stick a little bit better, and really get that overtake done, and or vice versa, run the outside lane, and just power right on by the car on old tires, maybe trying to run the bottom side.
Definitely some damage for Lindgren and Ray alike. Now Lindgren down to the bottom side, takes that lane away from Spencer Ray, wants to get on by the number 6 car, can't do it just yet. The 6 is the top side, is able to protect and get the run up out of the corner, and the apex action, number 6 Ford Mustang, holds on to that 12th place position. You saw Ariati blinking out. It looks like the DraftKings 23, I was going to say, it looks like it had sorted out, maybe not. Ariati, a 2-time winner here at Atlanta. This could be a big one if he were to go up there and grab it, but being at 11th with blinking issues, it's not looking promising.
No, not at all, but it's a long race to go, just under 100 laps. And look at this, Pancari working his way to the inside here on Cole Freilich. And this is Pancari on 8-lap pressure tires, or 10 laps is what timing and scoring will say, but 8 laps of green flag racing pressure tires. And Pancari, we didn't really see him move early. We're seeing right now Falcon get up to Robin up front, but Pancari, he is powering his way by. He's taking care of his stuff, extra care, fresher tires. He's just powering right on by these guys on the long run.
And Shutt at least pitted on that same stop. I don't know that he took tires necessarily, but I would imagine the way he's come back through the field that he must have taken tires in some capacity, and he's moved up into the 8th position, but now being overtaken by Pancari. It seems like Brett has just got things figured out as of late, as Cole Freilich now right back in this battle. Ariati also pitted on that caution flag. He just hasn't been able to move up through the field quite like Josh Robin, for example, who still leads, albeit by only 6/10.
Yeah, it got really close. And oh, there's contact right up in front of this battle right there between Simmons and Gossett. They got that sorted out, but that was oh so close to becoming an incident. But we saw Robin actually lose a little bit of his advantage to Falkenham. Falkenham drove it back down to 0.3 of a second. It's since open, so maybe Falkenham used the last bit of life there, and or Robin was probably safing. We'll see how this plays out over the course until we get to green flag pit stops coming up sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I would imagine we should expect them by or around lap 50. I think that's the cutoff. Being a 130-lap race, we could see them between lap 40 and 50, I think. If you split it up, 45 is 90, another 45 takes you to 135. So that could be a decent little plan for these guys. Doing some math, I think that might be what I would do, especially in this longer run. Maybe since you had that caution, run it out to like lap 50 and then cut it down to 40 and 40 potentially. I'm not really sure exactly what these guys plan to do, but something along those lines as we now work lap 36 of 130. Shot looks low of Gossett, maybe 3 wide. Does Darling go? No, Darling stays behind those guys and gets back up to the top side.
I just want to say, Brett Pancari is on a mission trying to clear James Simmons now. Here's to clear in the 4th. Another great run for Pancari as we get later on in this regular season run. Could be huge for this 35 car.
But could there be repercussions of taking that set of tires too early? That's the question.
It comes down to how this race plays out. If we stay green, absolutely not. If we get a bunch of late race cautions, or even cautions sporadically spaced out over the rest of the course of this race, absolutely, Pancari could be in a hole here. And down the back straightaway, now we're seeing the car come off the pit lane there on the bottom side there. I believe that's Gracia.
Yep.
Maybe trying to reclaim the spot he lost to Will Klein.
Yeah, that it is. It is the number 42 Ford of Elijah Gracia getting back out there. Still side by side, though, between the 5 and 57 of Simmons and Shutt. They will work now back down to turn number 1 with the number 1 in tow. Simmons working the top side, and this is just a big-time surprising run out of James Simmons. Now, I've not been here while he's made his return to the series a whole lot, but he's really done some impressive stuff lately, being really, really strong, at least in the short term. Oh, I'd say that. He catches the wall on entry to 3, my goodness. Catches that little bit of safer barrier that sticks out, and he'll start to lose a little bit of time. You can see he's definitely dented up the right front more than it already was, but Jared Darling digging it to his inside as David Shutt starts to drive away.
What a catch from James Simmons. I'm going to mention this a lot, but on the age of his tires, to slam the wall like that, to be sideways and looking at the Oreos on the side of Jared Darling's cars, TCB goes fastest.
He's just pitted 2 laps ago, and Elijah Gracia 3 laps before that. TCB pitting early. This could really shake things up. We'll see if anybody else elects to come down quite as early as Terrell, but that's big time from TCB going out there and just running fast. He does have some right side damage, so I wonder if that potentially prompted the pit stop out of Terrell Baker. But a very, very early stop for the 24. He has lost 25. He has lost 1 lap, and I wonder if he was maybe reading the repairs or what have you. 1 lap seems like a lot to lose off of just green flag stops when he was actually sitting pretty decently right up to Justin Day, right down to the bottom side. My goodness, he makes it exciting.
Woo, man, TCB. I know you feel like Superman when you put on fresh tires, especially at Atlanta, but my goodness, that's cutting it close. And I have to say, TCB, he was up there in the top 5, and I have a car coming down the pit lane right now. That is Tom Mercier in the number 68. But TCB had fallen from the top 5 or so all the way back to about 19 was the last time I saw him on timing and scoring before his pit stop. So he was already falling through the field, and I think this may be a little bit of a rejuvenation for the 25 to see where he can maybe put this 25, see where he can shake out once the pit stop cycle out. But of course, at that point, when pit stops finish, he'll have probably one of the older set of tires and will most likely be on his free fall down to the running order again, unless he can get a caution time down in his favor.
He is working around Nicholas Caressel, albeit not for position. He is still 1 lap down. is TCB. You briefly saw the number 8 car of Josh Robbins still leading the way, now by over 2 seconds to Daniel Falkingham. So while we get ready for some green flag pit stops, we're going to step away for a moment and get a quick side-by-side message from our partners at Pit Stop TV.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Right back to the action, James Simmons on the pit lane in the number 57. You can see a lot of damage to his right side now, and at this point I think he kind of had to come in. We're waiting on some others to come in. Here comes Cole Freilich in the number 15, and several more drivers starting to work their way in. Here comes Tommy Gossett in the double lot. We're waiting on some more to come in. Here comes Bobby Chaney in the 24. So this is the money lap, 46. So right on cue, look at that, 45, 45, 45.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of these drivers electing to break it up into those even thirds. And, of course, the drivers who pitted on that first caution have a little bit more freedom with their strategy. The rear tires they're spinning for Cole Freilich. Brett Pancari has pushed his way past the 96, and neither of those drivers have pitted since the lap 8 yellow. Pancari did. But Pancari onto the podium right now, and everybody around him has yet to pit.
Meanwhile, here comes John Barry in the number 74. Down the pit lane for his service. So this is it. This is where the pit window officially opens up, and I had mentioned that some drivers may elect to go a little bit deeper in this run. That's exactly what we're starting to see out of some of the field. John Barry elects not to, though I would imagine that Falkingham is trying to even up with these guys ahead of him and doesn't want to give them the edge of having some better tires here in a few laps. That said, I think the undercut could have potentially benefited him a little bit. We'll see what he does once these guys get on some more even footing, though.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're getting back here as fast as Falkingham is, but 4 seconds back of his primary competition to really go at it for a race win, you have to consider something. I don't believe you can just follow Josh Robin into the pit lane and win this race at this point. We'll have to see, though, when they get onto that equal footing, if Robin can keep his pace up ahead of Falkingham.
It's certainly going to be rather tough. And we've got one more driver coming in. Here comes Zach Lindgren in the number 85 HMS Motorsport Racecom Ford Mustang. Look at how tricky it is to get onto the pit lane here. We've got to try and find somebody doing that live. I mean, that is certainly some magic they've got to work from the cockpits of these vehicles, trying to get the cars woed down, especially with these low downforce, high horsepower NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. It's very weird to say that about the Xfinity cars, but essentially they are at this point the low downforce, high horsepower cars in NASCAR. David Schutt has worked out to the back end of Zoltan Herzeg, and while he may not have made a ton of passes short term, he's making a whole lot long term.
Yeah, it's, again, I can't wait to see how this all shakes out, but David Schutt, again, passed Zoltan Herzeg. That's pretty much one of the benchmarks. So we know Herzeg is up here and really contending on the podium. Now, he's definitely fallen off of Falkingham over the course of the race. But for sure, Herzeg, I think, is a good benchmark to know that you're up in that top 5, and when you pit, when this all works out, if it goes green, you could be up here and a legitimate player in the mix.
a little further back in this top 10, at least amid pit stops, Ariotti is trying to hunt down Jared Darling. This would be interesting because Ariotti is kind of perpetually on the edge of being in the top 20. Spencer Ray is in the pit lane, if you're wondering, but Ariotti is perpetually on that edge of being in or out of the top 20 and could potentially point his way in these next couple of weeks. He's got his work cut out for him, but this might be a turning point. A racetrack he's won a couple of times at, now working up to Jared Darling amid this very long green flag run. And if things work out for him, as Jared's going to come down to the pit lane, if things work out for Ari, we could be talking about a big run suddenly for that 23 car. That was a great onboard shot there with Jared Darling coming to the pit lane, but look at this gaggle down to turn 1.
Yeah, and then here's the grab bag of strategies. Really, we're seeing some of these drivers on fresher tires, powered by a driver on old tires. And it's all about finding that space on the track to not run over the guy on silver tires because, of course, they're on the lead lap and they're running, of course, their own strategy, but also to keep yourself relevant in your battle that could very much decide where you're going to be, especially for that next round of pits. So, oh my goodness, that was close.
Yeah, that was Daniel Falkingham pitting right there, along with Zoltan Herzeg. So those two coming into the pit lane, nearly getting clobbered right there. Glad they didn't get hit. Several drivers still running. We're looking at Josh Robin, Brett Pancari, David Schutt, Ariotti, and Sean Williams that have not pitted yet in this run as Falkingham and Zoltan now come in. Drivers who have certainly benefited from this pit cycle, well, they're led by Terrell Baker currently up into the now 6th position, and he is primed to take the race lead out of all this.
Yeah, absolutely. The way it's worked out for TCB now, I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on to it or somehow the strategy may work out in his favor. David Schutt is on the pit lane, and one of those drivers who pitted on that lap 8 caution, the top 5, comes down the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see how long Pancari and Robin decide to stay out there, and Ariotti as well.
And Sean Williams. Sean Williams has been out there since the start of the race. He has not pitted yet, and Josh Robin is pitting this time by. Down the pit lane will come the number 8 car, but Pancari does not go with him. Brett Pancari is still on the speedway, will stay out and will lead this lap. We're seeing, like you said, a grab bag of strategies. Now Ariotti comes down the pit lane, so the 23 car back in for service. Here comes that 23 Toyota Supra, almost a Toyota Camry. Still watching things change, and Sean Williams still has not pitted. Meanwhile, Terrell Baker is working up to, well, he's actually just been passed by Nicholas Caressel. This is for position, and Sheldon Lockie back there in the Melon Man 69 is on his way up as well.
Absolutely. I want to mention here, Pancari and Sean Williams, they were two of the drivers who stayed out so long as Falkingham goes fastest overall on the racetrack. Pancari and Williams are the two drivers most notably to stay out very long at Auto Club. And we've already seen this work out for Brett Pancari once this season. What if it happened twice for the 35 of Pancari? That would be something. Sheldon Lockie right there in the 4th position has TCB in tow. Actually, he worked his way past TCB.
And it's looking like Nicholas Caressel pitting so much earlier than the rest of these leaders, albeit 6 laps after Terrell Baker, is going to take the race lead. Sheldon Lockie's only on 2-lap better tires currently, and they are 3rd, 4th, and then 5th would be TCB. James Simmons is the first of the leaders that had come down, and he is riding 6th behind TCB 11 laps ago. That's when he pitted. So that's the difference now between the race leaders, Brett Pancari and Sean Williams. They are close to doing this on a one-stop strategy. Is Simmons right in front of TCB? My goodness, that was close. But I think Brett Pancari can certainly extend this race to where he's only got to pit once between that initial caution flag and the end of the race. I did not think we'd be talking about this kind of a strategy.
Well, the real thing here is to see how long Sean Williams can go. Because if Sean Williams extends it to the end of his fuel cell, then Pancari, if he took fuel on that top, I'd imagine he would, can go just, that 8 to 10 laps longer. And we could be talking about a one-stop strategy. Because to make it on a one-stop, from the drop of the green flag without pitting, you have to split it right at the end of 65. If Sean Williams can go, say, 60 at this point, Brett Pancari can make that 65 number. It's now giving that added cushion on the far side of that number. Pancari might be able to pull something out once again.
Yeah, you figure about 10 laps cushion, about, I guess, 9, truthfully. 9 laps cushion there for him. That's really going to help him make this on just one stop, it looks like. Sean Williams is going to come around and take lap 59 of the race. Granted, he had that caution to save a little bit of fuel. It's I mean, it is really close if Pancari can do this, and with that 9-lap cushion, I'd imagine he potentially can. I mean, he's turning the race into a 120-lap race instead of 130, effectively anyways. So, I mean, this is huge, what we're seeing between these guys. And here comes Nicholas Caressel to pass Sean Williams. Is that when Sean pits? I mean, this is really, really far. And at this point, he's got to go to 65. He has got to go halfway in this race.
Yeah, at this point, if Sean Williams can't make that number, he's out here hoping for a yellow. And at this point, if a yellow comes out, you have people like Caressel and TCB and others who pitted around that lap number who will also have to probably come in first set of tires and be on equal footing with them. But Sean Williams is still out here. He's just pretty much getting overtaken at the will of everybody else right now. Wow, that's close for James Simmons because Simmons has Valkenham right behind.
Watch that battle as Sean Williams just continues running around the top side. I'm actually surprised as well that he's doing this. It sounds like he's not putting the clutch in. He's not exactly too worried about fuel. He's worried about keeping those tires in the car. I guess that's why he's running up high. But as far as fuel goes, running around along the bottom could help that. Pancari's still leading. He's got 21 seconds to these guys now battling for second, third, and fourth. Here comes Falkingham right up to Sheldon Lockie. This is kind of incredible how this is working out, and Pancari is robbing Nicholas Caressel of laps led at this point, and Sheldon Lockie going to give that one up rather easily to Daniel Falkingham.
Yeah, absolutely. If Caressel is thinking about maybe stealing, a lap lead point to put towards his name, it's not going to happen at this point as Falkingham powers up to the 30. There's Sean Williams.
So there's the number.
He's coming in now.
So Pancari can do it. He's just going to be very, very slow here soon, and we do see Sean Williams in. Pancari can definitely do it. It's a matter of whether or not it works.
Well, I think here he's got a 20-second lead. It depends where it's all going to shape out here. If he has maybe like a 10-second lead at the end of this race, that's a little bit of leeway to play with here. So he's at least a lap slower than Falkingham, which I think he's well over that. Actually, 2 seconds a lap slower than Falkingham.
So he's got to get to lap 70. He's got 19-second cushion. Back to Daniel Falkingham, who is running. He's running 32.5 the last time. 32.5 the last time by. Pancari this time across the line will run. It looks like a 34.3. That is 2 seconds, like you said, thereabouts. 1.8 seconds officially. And I'm sure Falkingham's times will start to fall off. That's the big thing. So he's not going to gain quite as quickly. He's certainly still going to gain a lot. At the time of the pit stop, Falkingham will have, 15 laps, 16, 17 laps on his tires? That's almost time for him to come in again. He's got to come back in. Oh my goodness, this might work. It's going to be interesting if it does. We're hearing that Sean Williams officially had a flat tire. That is something you rarely do on iRacing. I wonder if Brett is saving his tires better or worse than Sean.
You'd have to imagine that definitely is running through his mind, and we kind of knew that all along. Fuel was not really going to be the worry. It's more, can your tires make it to your fuel number? You got to think if they can run 60 laps on most amount of halves, then at Atlanta where there's so much off-throttle time, 65 should be pretty easy. But here we go. Here, this is David Shutt powering by James Simmons. Now David Shutt puts himself into that 6th position when Pancari pits. That'll put him 5th. Tommy Gossett would be in the top 10 whenever Pancari does cycle out. But at the same time, all this time that Pancari is losing to Falkingham now, granted, Pancari probably wouldn't be pushing when he comes off the pit lane after he makes his pit stop. Pancari will be gaining some time back on Falkingham.
Oh yeah, he'll gain tons of time back. Falkingham, he's not going to be down to the 34s that Pancari is running right now, but I would imagine 33s are realistic. I mean, Falkingham ran a 32.8 last time by, so 33s I think are certainly within question for Pancari to, beat at that point. That's a second and a half a lap thereabouts. I mean, the fastest lap was a 31.5, so yeah, that's a second and a half a lap that suddenly Brett Pancari will be able to make back up on Daniel, and it's going to be much like that previous run that we saw out of these guys. It's lap 67, though, and Brett's got to get to at least lap 70 if he wants this to work.
I think that's a legitimate number he can make, 67 at, the 10 laps to the end, or the 10 lap fresher tires and fuel he has to the car here. 70 I think is pretty realistic. Can he go... If he can make it to 70 without problem, if he can duplicate that kind of a run in a little bit less of a pack, I think this might just work out. The Auto Club strategist might be onto something.
If you're just joining us, you're on lap 68 of 130. This is the 17th race in NORC Season 13 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Legacy Daytona next week wraps up the regular season before we set aside our 12 chase drivers. You do see several drivers towards the bottom of the order that are out at this point, and we're not considering to be any threat for the race win. Michael Keithley at the bottom of those, Will Klein along with, as well as Elijah Gracia, Justin Day potentially in that grouping as well, even though I think Justin Day and Elijah Gracia are continuing just with a lot of damage. They had one issue back on lap number 10. We've now run to lap 69 so far without issue, and it's looking like we may go the rest of the way without caution. Now, I was looking back at stats earlier today, setting you guys up actually. I was imagining to do things on your own, but I noticed that there were 2 goose eggs in the caution column that came back in Season 3 and Season 5, and that's on both sides of the 163 lap and 130 lap eras, if you will, for NORC at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. They used to run shorter races, then longer races, and it's been 130 since 2017. Twice, though, we've had caution-free races. We've never had a race with just one caution, but this could be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I said, when that caution happened, I was actually surprised that it happened 7 laps into the run. You think Atlanta, if the caution's going to happen, it's going to happen the first or second lap, maybe third lap. And here comes Pancari on lap 70, at the end of lap 70. So that means he's going to have 60 laps to go when he comes off the pit lane, because he made it to 70 pretty easy. This could just work. And he's already done it once this season with the help of a caution. That might have actually hurt him at Auto Club, but this could work.
Yeah, this just might be it for Brett Pancari to grab a second win on the season. Can you believe it? He was so happy after the first one. I can only imagine what the emotion would be like if he can get it. But again, that's a big if. Let's knock on wood for him here. We still have 60 laps to go, Emerson. Things have now cycled out, and Daniel Falkingham and Josh Robin are on relatively even footing. A 2-lap difference now between their tires, and Josh has the advantage at the 2/10 time difference into turn 1. And there's Brett Pancari on the apron, about to go 1 lap down. Maybe not for long. I think Falkingham should pass in the backstretch, and then immediately Pancari will be back up to speed. It looks like Brett might not even go that 1 lap down. Look at him firing off.
Absolutely, and that's at this point, a Falkingham on 20-lap old tires. Pancari just came off the pit lane. See you later. That orange car is going to become an orange speck out the front windshield of Daniel Falkingham's machine. He's got to put his focus to the mirror, though. Josh Robin. Now, here's the thing. Robin has the fresher tires once again. We saw how easy it was for Robin to overtake Falkingham on 10-lap fresher tires. 2-lap fresher tires, that's not that great of a difference. It's huge at Atlanta, but it's not that great. An overtake is going to be very difficult for Josh Robin, and Falkingham has the upper hand here. He can put the car where he wants it. You know, he's ahead into these corners. He can put the car where he wants it to preserve the tires. That outside looks very tempting, I'd say. Keep it up there. Keep the tires under you. Get the runs off the corners to hold on to your position. While Robin, if he were to try to make this overtake, is most likely going to have to go down the inside, wear out those tires a little bit, and that's if it even works.
So working the bottom side is the number 20 car of Daniel Falkingham, and right up to the back end of Justin Day, they're going to lap that 39 car down to the bottom side of turn number 3. Josh Robin follows along with. I don't know how aggressive Josh is going to be. The tater farmer himself, he's aggressive when he needs to be, but also realizes, I think, risk over reward. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just kind of sits and waits for a potential mistake or any kind of misstep, any kind of open door. And this might be it, actually. He's going to run the middle as Falkingham goes way up high. Now down low goes Robin. And you can see just the little bobbles out of the 20. I think Josh might wait for a bigger bobble and then make his move.
Absolutely. And again, that outside, it is really risk versus reward. We saw, just how close Zoltan got up to that outside wall. And honestly, when he did, I think he got to crack the front a lot more than he wanted to. The reward wasn't that great. It gets you a nice little run on the exit of these corners, make the straightaways longer. But here comes Robin, a great run through it, a quad oval into 1. He peaks. Can he send it? Falkingham's got to be nice and tidy on that outside.
Daniel holding tough up high for now. The Maynard keeps the race lead as the Nader chaser and the Tater farmer still tries to work on by. I love that about Josh Robin. He's so happy as well to go tornado chasing through the summer months, and of course farm taters along with it up north and in the Dakotas. And I actually love that persona about Josh Robin. He's working right to the back end of Daniel Falkingham, but this is never where I would have imagined Josh Robin to have a good run. This would be the last place that I would peg as a Josh Robin racetrack. Something has just worked out for him between the pit strategy and everything else, and he is moving tonight.
The beautifully timed caution and taking advantage of a real quick TCB has made his trip down the pit lane on lap 74. And James Simmons is currently blinking in and out of session. But back here, again, Josh Robin. Now Josh Robin, I think, has the upper hand. Even though he's in second, and it's so hard to make that overtake happen on only 2 high-pressure tires, he's filling up Falkingham's mirror. We know how good Falkingham is. I doubt he's going to be as bothered by Robin all over the rear end as other drivers might be. But still, that's got to be quite the annoyance if you're Falkingham leading.
Oh yeah, that car in your rearview mirror is going to get old pretty quickly as we work up to lap number 80 here in just a few moments. It's going to get old quick if you're Daniel Falkingham. What I have noticed is, aside from the stragglers that have really worked themselves out by pit strategy or what have you, we're not seeing much lap traffic, and that is allowing this battle to properly age and kind of develop as the laps go on, as Josh follows Daniel right into the corner that time, now looking a little bit lower. This is just too good to leave.
Down the back straightaway, Robin trying to get down to the inside. I think if he can just get a nose down there, we might be in business here. But Robin just taking his time, finding that spot here. We're approaching that lap 80 mark. We're, right at the edge of that 50 lap window. 85, I think, is we're going to see a huge ton of pit stops here. And we'll see really where this battle shakes out here. I mean, we're looking now at 25, 27 lap old tires. Here comes Robin to the inside, trying to make the slider.
Slide job, crossover, maybe Daniel isn't there, can't do it, so it's not going to work out then for Daniel Falkingham. Although, he draws up to the back end of the 8 car. He might look low this time. He doesn't need to, though. He's got 5 wins on the season, a massive points lead. Does he really need to battle too tough right now? I don't think so. He looks down low, thinks about it, just doesn't have the tire to do it right now. But you know what? He went longer in that run, Emerson, than Josh did. I wonder if he's setting himself up to pit a little bit later than Josh after this run and try and race Josh back around and have the upper hand next time by. That would really change things up and potentially put the ball in Daniel's court as he loses a lot of time down the backstretch.
He tried to get down there to keep himself in contention for this battle, but again, racing. Oh, big moment. Is that Lincoln or Freilich?
That was Cole Freilich. That was a great catch, but right in front of a big gaggle of race cars. Here comes Zoltan Herzeg, John Barry, and the one car of, again, my brain almost went to Michael Annette. My goodness, Jared Darling. I don't know why I couldn't get that one through my head. Thankfully, it gets sorted out, but it is going to back up the one car a little bit into turn 1. Maybe to the nose, not quite, of John Barry. John couldn't quite capitalize on that one. But I noticed these guys getting rather aggressive, and oh my goodness, Jared pushing up the racetrack, and Cole was there.
Man, oh man. And Freilich is now falling a lap down. This is not the day Freilich wanted, and it's going to come down to what kind of a run he can do at Daytona if he's going to make the playoffs.
But yes, here comes Tommy Gossett. Tommy just pitted 6 laps ago.
Tommy Gossett is on a mission here, and I think he's looking for a luckily timed yellow, I think, at this point. Tommy Gossett, our pole sitter, not firing off in this race the way he wanted to keep himself in contention for this race. But Gossett, I think he might have something to play out with the strategy here. I don't know if it's going to be ultimately what he wanted, especially after qualifying on pole. But again, no laps led after starting on pole. That's just astonishing because of the start Falkingham got.
Yeah, that's never a good day when you start up front on pole and don't lead a single lap. That's not how you want things to go, but he did pit, as I said, 8 laps ago, along with this man, Terrell Baker, who actually pitted 9 laps ago. So 1 lap difference. I noticed that TCD was going to have to pit rather early. He's got to go 50-some laps to the end here if he wants to do so without pitting again. I just don't know that that's going to work out for the driver of the 25. He is working up to James Simmons, though, who pitted 38 laps ago. So he's going to put one heck of a number on this 57 car here in a moment when he works on by. And actually, wow, James Simmons has really fallen through the order. I think that's a flat tire. He's coming in.
My goodness, James Simmons really off the pace, and yeah, he's struggling. He's crab walking.
I don't know how he would get a flat tire. It's only been 38 laps.
I don't know what heroics you have to do to achieve
He's just
this
dipping
kind of. That's it for James Simmons, and I think it was going to end his competitive night anyway. But my goodness, we'll see what happened here.
Let's see if anything particular happened. This is on board with him down the backstretch now. What we've just seen. Did he have a tire go down? I don't hear anything. He just gets into the fence. I think he's just frustrated. Not in the contention for anything in the points. I think that's just frustration for James Simmons. I was listening pretty closely, and I didn't hear anything suggesting a flat tire. There is one car ahead of him in the pit lane. Tom Mercier is now down the pits, along with whoever that was under that replay. But things really shaking out in some interesting manners.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what direction this race is going to go for a lot of different ways. We see Josh Robin, of course, leading now by nearly a second over Falkingham, and their pit window is coming up soon. Mercier off the jacks and away in that number 68, and there's Cole Freilich.
Who just pitted.
Freilich just pitted. Now he's 2 laps down. He's the first car 2 laps down. It'll be interesting to see if he can work himself back onto the lap, maybe catch a yellow, put himself back into this race, give himself some sort of a chance. Aaron Smith right on the mark, sent to his pit box.
That was a pretty good job of stomping on the dime for Aaron Smith out of South Carolina. That was Cole Freilich that we saw in the pit lane ahead of James Simmons, who came in after his misfortune, and again, I'd imagine some frustration. Do you want to give a quick shout out to, of course, our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Race Paid Setups, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, Whiplash Media, and BAM Racing Videos. As we work lap 88, we witnessed the number 8 car lead one more lap. I wonder what number it is. Could it potentially end in an 8? That would be convenient. Survey says no, it's 41.
A nice try there, though, but Josh Robin, it has been a stellar performance for Josh Robin, taking advantage of that early race caution. And I mean, depending on where he was, you can't really blame him. I mean, at this point, you can't blame him at all. Looking at it, he started there in the midfield, about 15th, and you know, if you're back there, if you're not up front, you kind of have the track position. But if you're back there, you're going to be ahead of the wrecked cars anyway when you come out of the pit lane, so you'd be about somewhere in the mid-20s. That's only about a 10-position loss right there. He took the tires, he flew to the front. It's absolutely paid off for Josh Robin, and I mean, look at what it's done.
Howie Briss and Hayes Booth. Oh my goodness, Hayes Booth and Nicholas Caressel coming in. Problems for Caressel as well. He almost went around. He was definitely sideways into the corner, but big problems there for Hayes Booth. I want to take a look back at that one.
I mean, we've seen it already a lot today, how treacherous the pit entry is. It is so difficult to get down the pit road, speed, and keep your car in one piece. We saw Hayes Booth, of course, perpendicular to the direction of traffic on pit lane. We'll ride in car here with the 11.
Hayes Booth coming in, it just starts to get loose on him coming around. He probably has a lot of rear brake in the car and just kind of comes around on him. And that's something that a lot of drivers, I think newer drivers, and Hayes has been around for a minute, maybe not new at this point, but I don't want to sound mean, but I would put him in that category of drivers that would do this. They tend to put a lot of rear brake into the car, trying to get the car to turn when in reality you've got to do it in other ways, especially in a place like Atlanta. You're likely floating the car out of the corner more than you are braking to slow the car down. Hayes probably just had a lot of rear brake bias in the car, didn't turn it back to the front, and unfortunately the car came right around on him.
Absolutely, and depending on the way you're driving the car, of course, like you said, you can do that, but you have to keep that in mind and adjust it as much as you can. You can only adjust at 3% either way on the on fixed setups anyway. You can only adjust at 3% in the car. You got to at least do that to try to help yourself make it down pit lane, or if you have that much rear brake, ultimately you're going to have to give up time doing it, but you got to brake earlier and ease that car down to pit road speed. You can't be that aggressive if you have that much rear brake in it.
Meanwhile, a bit of a battle here between Cole Freilich, and actually Cole Freilich is not on the same lap as Terrell Baker. Cole just goes on by. I wonder if Cole has had other problems. He is 2 laps down. He must have really fallen off lately. But the battle that we are watching is Zach Lindgren up to the car, 2 cars ahead of him, John Barry in the 74 car. This is for 6th place on the racetrack here, Emerson. The closest battle in the top 10, aside from Brett Pancari, who's now worked up to Ariati.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. I mean, we saw right there TCB just sliding right in the middle of that battle. it can get really difficult to keep some of these battles up as you have to work through cars on older tires, cars on fresher tires, just powering right on by like Caressel and Lockie. My goodness, they look like rocket ships just flying by cars on older tires. And of course, Pancari on that strategy, he's got to go. He's pretty much, this is like the tortoise and the hare, and he's the tortoise just trying to make this all work out here for Pancari here. We'll see Caressel and Lockie work their way past Barry and Lindgren as that battle tightens up. Lindgren, he's right there in a position to make a move, but you can't when there's cars flying by on your left side.
Yeah, this is big. Lindgren looking to the inside, though, of the 74 car. And, I mean, it's starting to feel like multi-class racing at this point in time. And, oh, my goodness, 3 wide with Tom Mercier going right on by the both of them, and Zach has to back out.
Multi-class racing, I absolutely agree. It looks like GT3 cars out and LMP1s. The way some of these drivers on fresh tires are flying by. Here comes Pancari by Lindgren. This is 4th position. Pancari can slot his way in there, and Ariotti looking to follow suit as well. But Pancari looking for more, and this is crazy. Pancari is out here on this strategy, and he's put himself in the 6th. And this isn't even with everybody else pitting yet. I mean, it's a great run for Pancari as is, and he still has some drivers to come collect spots from when they eventually make their second pit stop.
And let's look at the delta up front. It's 16 seconds currently. At this pace, he's running 33 4s, and Josh is running 33 7s. Daniel running 34 O's as Jared Darling comes down the pit lane along with John Barry and Zach Lindgren. At this pace, Brett's certainly making up time, but it's not going to be anything like he needs to get up there and pass without the pit stop. That said, we expect Daniel and Josh in the next 5 to 10 laps as we see, again, John Barry in the pit lane along with guys like Jared Darling now in the number 1 and Zach Lindgren in the 85. They were all starting to battle, and there's a lot of nose damage now to that 85 car. I wonder if there was contact.
I'd have to imagine maybe there was... maybe couldn't avoid maybe one of the slower cars, or couldn't maybe make a pass on John Barry. We'll see here. The onboard. Oh, might be on pit entry.
Yeah, this is where I'm wondering if there was a little bit of contact. He comes in. Did John just kind of slow way up? Oh, Zach. That's going to be a penalty as well. That is right through the cone right there. It looks like we lose him for a moment. Let's watch that back from a TV camera because, I mean, he just missed the pit entry by a little bit. And again, it's a very tricky pit entry. We talk about it. We've heard it talked about so many times in NASCAR broadcasts. Pit entries on 1.5 miles are tough, especially this one here at Atlanta, right through that cone as well. What did that cone ever do to you?
My goodness, the brave soldier they put out there at the end of pit entry there. Unfortunately, taking a fallen soldier in that cone family right there. But Daniel Falkingham on the pit lane there from the 2nd position. And this is going to be interesting to see where he shakes out with Josh Robin. Robin's still out there. Falkingham going to be on the fresher tires right away. We'll see if Robin can do what he just did. There's David Shutt on the pit lane as well, pitting from 3rd.
Robin's still on the racetrack, still leading the way. When does he come in? He pitted 2 laps later than Daniel the last time through. Now with 30 laps to go. I mean, the window's been open for 10 laps. So we just kind of missed that with all of the action going on around the speedway. This is where Josh comes in. You can see the USG sheetrock. Number 8, come on down to the pit lane and take service. So where does this put everybody else? Well, Ariotti's actually the pit lane, if you're wondering about everybody else. And Tommy Gossett has already... Tommy Gossett looks slow. No? Maybe? He looked very slow that time through. But Pancari is still on the racetrack and is just taking the race lead. That's what I was trying to get to, across the start and finish line. So now pay attention to the delta when Zoltan and Daniel get back on the speedway.
Pretty much. That's what this is. Where is the highest running driver who has pitted in relation to Brett Pancari? And that's pretty much the 30-lap race within the race for Pancari and the drivers on fresh tires. At the moment, I think it's 17.5 seconds between Pancari and Tommy Gossett. Falkingham goes fastest. Can it work? Ooh, it's going to be close.
It's going to be very close across the line to start lap 102. Tommy Gossett is some 17 seconds back. Tommy might have something here. He has worked the strategy apparently in his favor. That said, he's been on the racetrack for 26 laps. I think he's going to the end as TCV drifts out of turn number 2, and look at everything happening ahead of Brett Pancari as well. Let's take his onboard and just watch all of this.
It's a lot of traffic, man. I would not be wanting to approach that. But actually, I think most of that traffic's on fresher tires, so they might be driving away from Pancari as is.
Well, yeah, still drive away from him, but it's just all happening in front of him, and it's still amazing to watch them. Multi-Groove here is well and alive on iRacing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here comes Daniel Falkingham to pass Nicholas Caressel. That's for third. So the delta is 19 seconds. It's about the same as it was before. And Pancari is going to the end. We've got 28 laps, 27 laps, thereabouts. I don't know. I don't know about this one.
You know what this is going to feel like? This is going to feel like earlier in the season in F1, like where Verstappen or Hamilton made that late pit stop, where it's right on the edge of a 1 or a 2 stop strategy. That's what we're watching right here.
And here comes Tommy. Oh, Tommy got right in front of him too. I like that from Tommy Gossett. You can choose your line, get right in front of him if you have to. Make him either check up or find a different way by. I like that from Tommy. That was kind of funny. But Daniel goes right on by, takes a second spot away, so now it's down to 17 seconds. It's going to be 2 seconds a lap pretty much for some time. I don't know when it's going to even out, if it's going to even out, but Daniel Falkingham is on his way.
Falkingham's going to try. Importantly here, he has a near 3-second advantage over Josh Robin, who's only on a couple lap fresher tires. 3 seconds. That's going to be a lot to make up in only 2 lap fresher tires.
It is a bit of a distance, isn't it, for Josh Robin to get back up there, but we've seen him do it before. And I think over the course of time, he definitely looked faster. I just don't know if he's that much faster to drive up there. Look at the gap up ahead to Daniel Falkingham. It's showing Tommy Gossett on the bottom right, but that is the live gap to the 20 car from the 8. That is a distance, ladies and gents, and with only 25 laps to go, I'm not sure if he's going to make it happen. Sheldon Lockie has worked his way back up into this top battle, though. Again, the same pit strategy as before, so he will likely get past, but Sheldon Lockie is presenting himself with options, and that's what you've got to do as a race car driver. There is the potential, if a caution comes out as Caressel goes by Gossett, there is a potential for Sheldon Lockie to really walk away in a good position if we get a caution flag. Same for Tommy Gossett, same for Nicholas Caressel. I gotta give these guys an applause for doing what they can do to at least give themselves options if things happen.
Absolutely. Put yourself in a position to capitalize on if there is a late race caution. Maybe somebody trying to get down the pit lane and they miss it. And they spin back onto the racetrack in front of traffic. The iRacing could trigger that yellow. And automatically, with everybody being out here as many laps as they are, pit stops are pretty much going to be warranted, especially if you have sets of tires in the pits this late in the race. Pancari, if he's not going to hold on to this top spot, and it's the likelihood that decreases pretty much every passing lap, if he can get a caution timed out here, he'll put himself right in prime position for a late race restart.
Again, a lot's going to happen here in the next few laps, and a lot is going to continue changing. Here comes David Schutt working his way back into things. If I had to take a guess here, Emerson, I'm thinking we're going to have one of those fantastic Atlanta finishes again. Isn't that what it's feeling like it might be shaping up to be as Lindgren now works on by the 35 of Pancari? It's shaping up like whether it's with Falkingham and Pancari or Falkingham and Robin, we're going to have one of those fantastic Atlanta finishes. Caution! Whoa! Oh Tommy Gossett! No! No! Oh, boy. Well, this changes everything.
I'm speechless. I think TCB just came off the pit lane as well, so he's a couple laps down. He's trapped a couple laps down. That's going to hurt.
Now, was there contact? Here comes Sheldon Lockie behind the double O. Yeah, he hits him. He hits him. He stays in him. And Tommy tries and saves it, or tries to save it. Around. How does he get all this damage? Oh, no! Are you kidding me, Tommy? Oh, brother. I mean, you can't do that. When you're spinning for the entire backstretch, you can't do that. Oh, boy. Well, we've got to do it, Emerson. We've got to take the onboard here with Zoltan.
That's so unfortunate. One of the favorites, and granted, Zoltan was not bringing that late green flag run tire magic we're used to seeing him at mile and a half, but still up in the top 10, fighting for his own chance of point lead here. And we'll just see here, smoke on left side of his onboard. Doesn't know where he's going to go, and
At the same time, he went down to the bottom of the racetrack. I can't help but laugh a little bit. He came out of turn 2, and I don't know if the car was loose on him or what, Emerson, but you saw that, right? I mean, he just hooked the car left and right down to the bottom side.
Yeah, I think it was loose. It might have helped him try to get out of harm's way. He might have been able to dive it down to the apron. Now, I don't know what else to do in Zoltan's perspective. You don't really have all control of your car as well at that point from that onboard. And
no,
then
not loose. I think he just reads it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, man, what a hit. That's going to end Zoltan's competitive evening.
Going to do a lot more than that. Look at Zoltan still sliding there, even so much after the wreck. And I mean, I got to be critical of Tommy Gossett because I would be of anybody else. If you're in that situation, you have got to put the brakes on. He spun for the entire backstretch and never, at least from the outside perspective, it looks like he never even touched the brakes. And of course, you've got to lock down the brakes before you come across the racetrack. I was really wondering how he had no rear end to his car, and I mean, that surely explains it, but it's not the explanation that anybody would have liked to see. But we do see things are shaking out after the pit stops. Falkingham takes the race lead, Pancari in second, Robin in third, Shutt in fourth, Darling in fifth. You can see the rest along the left side of your screen. What do you say we use this opportunity, because we might not get too many more, we might get a ton more, to try and talk to a driver, and what do you say we grab Brett Pancari and see how his strategy may have shaken out? Brett Pancari coming up to the booth, and Brett, I do got to wonder, you were losing a lot of time, lap after lap to Daniel, but it was looking like it was going to be a good strategy. What could you have done differently? I mean, it might not have been good for the win, but it was going to be good for a lot of spots.
In all honesty, I probably could have done much else. I hit on a lap 10 when else, and I just went super, super long and was able to get the longest on the tires, and then I basically just went for it again. I didn't think I was going to hold on for the lead because I probably ran the tires a little bit harder than I wanted to that time, and I didn't have as quite of a lead that I did when they hit the pit the first time, so there wasn't really much else I could have really done. Just drive cautiously and then just see the tires for the end.
So, in a weird way, this caution likely helps you a bit. How do you feel you stack up against these guys in the short term?
No way. I'm not very good on the short runs, and I feel like they're gonna really drive the cars in a lot harder, and I don't think I'll be able to hang on to them. I'm gonna have to stay with Daniel on the restart and then see what happens after that. But I kind of needed those long runs, but I think I'm gonna sit and duck now.
Well, buddy, you're certainly working up a bit of a fan base here in the YouTube chat. I'm seeing tons of guys very happy to see you up front and really hoping this goes your way. What do you have to say to those guys?
A lot of those people who are probably mostly liking the paint scheme, the Daisy paint scheme. I know there's someone who watches Sean's Jr. and absolutely loves the paint scheme for the Daisy cars. So it's a tradition now that I have this Daisy car, and I know hello, just thanks to everyone for that. And I'm going to try my best to try and maybe get top raters, but it's going to be really tough.
Well, buddy, best of luck to you here on this restart. Go get them.
All right, thanks.
Brett Pancari in the number 35. He's restarting second place here, Emerson, and potentially, I know he doesn't sound too optimistic, but potentially his best shot outside of Atlanta Auto Club Speedway to try and get up there and steal a race winner, at the very least, a pretty solid finish. Several drivers getting their wave around now. You can see in the background coming up down the backstretch. Several drivers catching back up, some of those including Cole Freilich, Zach Lindgren, TCB, Hayes Booth, Cody Miller, Patrick Colby, and several others. TCB, the first car one lap down, would be in your lucky dog position if we get another caution flag. It's lap 113 coming to lap 114. We're going to turn it back loose. We are back green at Atlanta. Pancari side by side with Shutt down the backstretch. That moves Josh Robin out of the battle for now. Pancari down low, Shutt up high. What can Pancari do? He's going to wash up, loses time, but thankfully they get away unscathed.
Here comes Jared Darling into the mix, giving a shot to Josh Robin, trying to power their way by Brett Pancari. Pancari holding his own, trying to keep himself alive for maybe a top 5 here, nearly 3 wide for a second. Falkingham driving away.
Now Darling looking through the middle. There's not a hold just yet, and there's a caution flag in the back. Something's gone awry, and we've got another issue this time with Nicholas Caressel. Very little damage, though. I wonder if he just got a tap around.
Yeah, I saw him spinning in the middle of the pack. The fact that there's not much damage to that 30 is a good sign. I was unfortunately getting ready to see a junkyard in the back straightaway, but Caressel, the only one looking to receive much of the impact here on this caution. We'll get the replay.
There's definitely been some damage added here in 1 and 2. He's in front of Tom Mercier. I'd imagine that's where it comes from. He gets loose on his own, though, and Tom is just there to kind of help him around. Oh, and the contact for Sean Williams. What a job by everybody to miss that.
And that's so difficult to do at Atlanta. I know everybody's on relatively fresh tires now after the restart, so you can control your car a little bit, but coming off the corner, you're kind of committed to a line. I mean, you saw him get loose. Who's to say everybody else wasn't already trying to fight the grip of their car and able to hold on and find their way around the spinning 30 is quite remarkable from the field.
Hometown driver Nicholas Caressel out of Georgia just gets loose on the top side in 1 and 2, and problems on the exit. You see John Perry was also a bit loose, but right there, no contact, just the car comes around. A little bit of a stack up there, and Cole Fralick comes in with a bit of reckless abandon, but he makes it through unscathed along with most of everybody else. I think Ariati might have just gotten into the back of Tom Mercier for a little bit of damage, but likely very, very light, if any. Zach Lindgren is also in the pit lane, receiving some repairs to that Elite Motorsports number 85. I wonder how things are going to work out for some of these guys. I mean, we've seen a wide variety of things shape out so far, Emerson, and I really don't know who to pick. You do have an option, though. If you're still watching on YouTube, and, well, if you're hearing my voice, you likely are, go over to our YouTube channel right quick, get into the chat, and let us know who you think wins this one. Obviously, Zoltan Herzeg, not the likely one at this point after that caution with Tommy Gossett, but Daniel Falkingham and the field are still up for grabs. Let us know who you're feeling here towards the end of things. Let's dive a little bit deeper into this field. Let's look for somebody by the name of Sean Williams to speak with here under this most recent caution flag. Emerson, he's handed your way.
We're going to bring on driver up to number 89, Sean Williams. And Sean, you were out there, especially in that first round of green flag pit stops, trying to extend. What was kind of the game plan there? What were you trying to see? What were you trying to make work out for that 89 car?
Just hoping to get a caution, man. I didn't pit when everybody else did. Like, some people pitted the first yellow when they were doing, like, normal pit stops to kind of split it. But I was like, you know what, I'll just go long and see what happens. And then I blew a tire on the first run, had to pit. So second run, I was like, well, I'm going to do the same thing and hope for a yellow. And luckily we got one.
Right. It's not often you hear about blown tires on the sim. What's that like? What are you thinking? And, I mean, what happened?
Well, luckily, it's not really as violent in real life. Because, you know, in real life, they blow a tire. They usually go straight toward the wall. And this one, I could feel my lap times going off. That kind of gives you a warning when your lap times really fall off. And then all of a sudden, it gives you a meatball when you get a flat tire. So I was heading into turn 3, and it was turning, but like not really well. And I got my meatball, and that's how I knew I had the flat. So I was luckily just able to slow down, get on the apron, and come in, and I was fine.
We fast forward this restart. You have a car spinning right in front of you. What are you thinking?
Oh, man, I thought it was over. I did clip him a little bit. I don't think it's bad, so we're just going to keep on trucking and hopefully get a top 10 here.
Well, as you said, hoping to get a top 10. Restarting 10th with it'll be under 12 laps to go. How are you feeling about your chances?
I don't know. Hopefully nobody spins right there in front of us. Again, everyone, this is NORC, man. On a late race restart, everyone's going to be crazy, so we're going to have to avoid the carnage here.
Right on, Sean. We're going to give you the floor here to shout out whoever you got to shout out, thank whoever you got to thank for your running so far in this Atlanta race.
Well, as always, I got to thank Revan for putting on the league and everyone who shows up. Thank y'all for broadcasting because y'all are excellent. And then everybody who's watching.
Absolutely. And once again, that's our 10th place driver, 10th place runner right now, Sean Williams in that blue number 89. Trying to see if we can hold on for that top 10 position. Best of luck to you, Sean.
Sean Williams looking to see what he can do here on the far side of that quick little word with him. The field ready to go back, green flag racing. Daniel Falkingham, your race leader, choosing the top side over David Shutt on the bottom. Pancari will restart fourth on the outside then of third place, Josh Robin. John Berry checks in at the... Oh, no, it looks like Jared Darling will check in at fifth with John Berry to his outside in sixth. Then, of course, TCB should be your lucky dog, and he was. So he is back on the lead lap in the 18th position. We'll go back green flag this time by out of turn number 4. The field coming back to the green silk once more. 11 laps to go. You can see the battle for third now shaping up. Pancari's going to take it for now. Here comes Darling to the inside of Barry. That would be for fifth. And Bobby Cheney is suddenly up in the mix. Look at that chrome red number 24 in about the 6th, 7th position.
We had a 4-car accident on the back straightaway there that will not bring out the caution. We stay racing, falking him over Shutt, Pancari, and Barry. There is, unfortunately, TCB involved in that incident.
Drivers have got to be screaming for a caution right now. TCB's got to be among them, but 10 laps to go. That time by the stripe, and Falkingham working his way down the backstretch. Cloud cover overtaking the speedway. It's dropping those temps a bit.
Yeah, these drivers, there's going to be a little bit more grip in the racetrack than it will be at 117 degrees of track time. So a nearly 20 degrees Fahrenheit difference there. These drivers might quite enjoy it. And on a 10-lap run, you don't really have to worry about tires. We'll see here, I'm seeing a lot of drivers getting their flags cleared on my screen. Daniel Falkingham goes fastest here. Here comes Jared Darling trying to keep himself alive in that top 6.
2 by 2 by 2, 3 rows deep. Robin almost gets into Barry right there. Thankfully, we continue on, no accident. At least in the top 10, the field thunders by down into turn number 3. Pancari on the inside, a shot, contact. They don't, what? It had no effect at all. They just keep on rolling. Now Barry to the outside of Pancari. He's going to steamroll the number 35, and he's going to bring Jared Darling along with.
John Barry trying to secure a podium here at Atlanta. Pancari fighting for his life down low. John Barry trying to set his sights on second place. David Shutt and Jared Darling wants his fair go at the podium as well.
Here comes the one car to the top side of turn number 3, the blue number 1. He's never all that confident, but man, can he wheel a race car. Fighting for fourth, he's got it here out of turn number 4. Across the line, 123 becomes 124. We've got 7 laps to go. I had to do some quick math.
Darling just gets clear of Pancari, but Pancari fights back down low in that battle. Josh Robin trying to get to the outside of 35 as well. There is the damaged number 25 TCB on the bottom side. Bobby Cheney trying to put himself into the top 6 as well as he looks forward at Josh Robin trying to find his way past the Princess Daisy machine.
A lot of battles happening from 4th on back, even from 3rd on back. John Barry can still be considered in all of that. 6 laps to go across the stripe now. Some of that stuff happening further back involving Zach Lindgren, Howie Briss, and Sheldon Lockie. Lockie looking to recover from definitely getting the short end of the stick with all of that pit strategy. Meanwhile, Josh Robin now looks to the outside of Pancari. Can't do anything with it. They go single file down the backstretch. The entire field in one line, and will go down to turn 3 and come around to take 5 laps to go at Atlanta.
We'll see here now, Jared Darling really hounding the 74 John Barry. Is there anything he can make of that? He's pushing John through the quad oval, trying to find his way, I guess the line he wants into turn 1. Everybody puts their car right up along that outside wall on the entry.
Look at everybody running so high up the racetrack, and now down the backstretch. Side by side, they'll go for, it looks like, 5th place. Robin's still working on that spot over Pancari, or at least trying to get by Pancari. But Jared Darling is all over John Barry once more. Maybe a little bit of contact. No, not just yet. Darling going to look low. 4 laps to go.
I think he thought about putting his nose down there, but he knows that diving down to the inside and not being able to complete that pass may as well be raced over. It is so detrimental if you're not on that outside lane. If you send it down there, you got to be sure you can complete the pass or have some sort of momentum to follow your side on corner exit. That's why he's still just tailing the 74, trying to maybe work to his outside or get him loose or something.
3 more laps to go up in front. The lead is narrowing. Here comes David Schutt. He's got his work cut out for him, and certainly a bit of a distance here, Emerson, but he is starting to move on up. And David Schutt, certainly one heck of an intermediate racer, but it's going to take a lot in 2.5 laps to close in 3/10 and pass the most winningest driver of the season.
If he can get himself in position, right, run that lane that you really want to, maximize your corner exits, he might be able to do a last lap send into the corner here. He closes a bit there, up to 0.2 of a second now to gap as he comes to 3 miles, just over 3 miles here at Atlanta.
Popsicle sticks that time by. Down to turn 1 we go. Cloud cover back out one more time. Grip levels intensifying. Just entirely intensifying. Everything's intensifying here at Hot Atlanta. Down the backstretch for the penultimate time.
Down the back straightaway we go, and it's David Schutt still trying to close that gap. He's been phenomenal here into turn 3. Huge closing of the gap there. Falkingham decides to cut it low off of turn number 4. Cut the wheel. That'll get him some advantage. Coming down the hill and to the white flag.
The Tucson Sound Art white flag is out at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Potentially a shot at a fantastic Atlanta finish. Schutt backs out just a little bit. It's going to take a lot down here in 3 and 4. Lap traffic up ahead. They're still battling for third and behind, but the focus is on Daniel Falkingham. Down to turns 3 and 4. He's going to have it. It's going to take a lot at this point, and it's certainly not going to happen for David Schutt. Out of turn number 4, Daniel Falkingham wins again. That's 6 on the season as he comes across the line behind the number 6.
6 wins in the regular season for Daniel Falkingham, and another great performance tonight. This was not always looking like this was going to be Falkingham's night. He didn't outright dominate like he did last week at Road America, but man, he was always up there. The strategy worked out. He was chasing down Brett Pancari and looking like he was going to take advantage. The caution comes out. He dominates the late race restarts, and Daniel Falkingham, another phenomenal drive, will win here at Atlanta.
Daniel Falkingham, a race winner once more. He had just tied up with Benjamin Nelson. He's going to move on up and enter a spot of his own. From a tie position for, I got to count, 6th place on the all-time wins list, he is now just 2 wins behind his championship rival this season, Zoltan Herczeg. That's his next tie coming up, if he can get up there, and that would tie him along with Freddie De La Rosa as well. But Daniel Falkingham now 10 wins in the NORC iRacing Series, 6 of those this season. It's incredible what this kid continues to do.
Absolutely, a stellar performance. Andrew, you might have to start figuring out where maybe 7 win stars might have to go on there, but
I'm expecting it. We might just start to put numbers up there instead.
For Falkingham's case, as long as his name is on that graphic. But, I mean, again, just a phenomenal job, and as you said, just really.
Look at this! He's taking the Thunder Ring! He's taking the Thunder Ring! I'm getting laps around the Legends Oval, whether it's at Charlotte or not. Heck yeah, buddy! Daniel Falkingham taking the Thunder Ring at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Shout out to Caleb Gladney for that name of the Legends Oval here at Atlanta. That was awesome. That was incredible.
Absolutely. That was fun. Just drifting it through the 3 and 4 of the Legends Oval. What a great run that was. And bringing it on the pit lane, we saw a bunch of burnouts down there in practice as well. Falkingham will park it in his pit box where Sheldon Lockie has paid a visit.
So Daniel Falkingham burning it down here after the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 130 laps now complete. We're going to take a step aside. Don't go anywhere. There's so much to comb through here on the back end of what has just been a fantastic one here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. A lot to talk about, certainly, with Daniel Falkingham and his 6th win on the season. Stick with us here at Pit Stop TV, continuing coverage of the NORC iRacing Series.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence. Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy?
Welcome back now to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway in the virtual Hampton, Georgia. A little ways down south of Atlanta lies this fantastic 1.54 mile facility, and boy, what a show it put on this afternoon. It wasn't quite that classic Atlanta finish that we all wanted to see, but it was still certainly one absolutely amazing run for this guy, Daniel Falkingham, and they keep on coming race after race after race after race. Add 50 more laps to the lead lap total for Daniel Falkingham. Buddy, what a run.
Heck yeah. Man, this race is all over the place with strategy. I didn't think we were in the catbird seat there until that second to last or third to last caution, whatever it was. But man, that race fell into our lap. If that went green all the way, Josh had that probably one hands down, just because he took tires at lap 7 and he got to the field and it looked like it was right in his hands until the yellow came out and just changed the whole complexity of the race. So or Brett Pancari too, who was doing the one stop, it looks like. So this race was so much strategy in it. I really didn't think we had a shot to win because we just had older tires and I was going to get on the defense, which I mean Robin was probably going to pass us anyway just because he was just so quick on the new tires and stuff, and he just had 2 lot fresher tires than I did. So but man, we somehow fell into our lap. We took advantage of it. I have no idea how we managed to do that, but we won again, so it's awesome.
Well, look at that. You answered a lot of my questions already. You're getting so good at these race-winning interviews that you just answer all my questions. I don't know what to say, but again, that answers a lot of the strategy-related questions. So let's talk about the season then, since we've already kind of covered the the bases around the race itself. Let's talk about the season and the fact that, well, this is win number 6. You're well and locked into the chase. How do you approach the variety of racetracks in the schedule remaining? In fact, we can bring it up on the broadcast as well. There's quite the variety upcoming. Indianapolis into Texas, then Bristol Dirt into Darlington, Phoenix, Chicagoland, Las Vegas. So those 5 races from Indy to Phoenix are completely wild.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with Bristol Dirt thrown in there. I can be the first one to say I have no confidence going in there, but we could surprise ourselves. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad, or I guess we're off next week. So whenever we go to Daytona and we got that, we get to have some fun before the chase starts, and then we get into chase mode again. So, but yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, there's a lot of those tracks I like, and plus you got Texas in there as an intermediate. So, and the intermediates have been pretty good to me. And like you mentioned, Indianapolis, I love Indianapolis. There's just a lot of good tracks that I'm really looking forward to, all except for Bristol Dirt. So hopefully we can have a smooth run going into the chase. I like to knock off one more win and build up our bonus points before the chase starts. So yeah, but it's going to be really interesting, that's for sure. But I'm looking forward to having one more, I guess, race of fun at Daytona, and I guess in a couple weeks' time.
Well, there you go. The season of Falkingham, the season of Lobster continues here in 2021. Buddy, who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out for this win?
Yes, I just got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. I don't say it enough. You guys are killing it every single week. It's good to have you back, Andrew. So can't wait to go back and see what product you guys put on for the fans. I bet the fans enjoy it. Thank you to all the fans who watch us and support us each and every week. I got to thank John Barry for putting on the show, running the league. Special thanks to him. I got to thank everyone who comes on and races each and every week to make these races a blast. I got to thank and thank my personal sponsors, First Aid Bay and Lobsters 207 as well. And yeah, thank you guys again for the broadcast. Thanks to all the fans.
Absolutely. 6 race wins now for Daniel Falkingham. Again, it's the season of the Lobster here in 2021. Buddy, live it up. Congratulations. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Daytona.
All right. Thanks, Andrew.
Daniel Falkingham continuing a fantastic season here. We are going to move things a little bit out of order. We're going to drop down to 3rd place John Barry. Then we'll get David Shutt in a few moments. But we're going to hand things off to Emerson Arden with Revin himself.
Of course, driver of the number 74 today had a relatively good day in and out of the top 10, but hovered right around there and started 6th, comes out with a 3rd place finish. John, a podium at Atlanta. Was that on the table coming into today's race?
Yeah, I think so. Atlanta is I'm the only tracks I'm really good at on here is anything over 1.5 miles, and Atlanta's one of my better tracks. I kind of consistently do pretty well here, so I was thinking a top 5 was definitely possible. That first run that we had was, I was kind of bad on tire management, but things went, they went kind of NORC at the end, and that kind of helped. So, but yeah, I was kind of expecting a pretty decent finish on the better tracks.
Kind of NORC at the end. I like that. Over the stretch of the race, only having to caution on lap 7, was the strategy kind of working out in your favor to solidify maybe a top 5 run, or where were you maybe looking before that double batch of cautions came out at the end?
Probably was looking somewhere between 8th to 6th, maybe a top 5. Those guys who pitted on that first caution, Josh was looking really pretty there. If that was on green, he probably would have ended up winning the race, because just having this extra, that extra 6 laps on tires he had compared to everybody else really made a big difference. But obviously that didn't happen with Tommy Gossett spinning onto the track and getting absolutely murdered by Zoltan. But yeah, I think before the caution comes out, I think it was looking somewhere between 8th or 6th. I think that's what it's probably going to cycle off to.
Right on. In that 8th to 6th gaggle, we saw you come down pit lane that second time around. Zach Lindgren, not so lucky to make it down pit lane in one piece, collected your rear end. What could you kind of see? I know he was behind you, but what did you see? What happened to your car as a result of it?
I saw a Ford Mustang doing what Ford Mustangs do best, and that's plowing through people. Because, every time you see a video of those things, they are just running through people on YouTube. But no, it's just, when you're on old tires, it's really hard to judge when to brake onto pit road, and the brakes on these cars are just awful when the tires are really hot worn out. So you're just kind of guessing, and as soon as you get on the brakes, the thing wants to do everything but stop. And I know he was struggling with the same thing, and I think I braked it a little bit too good, and he just kind of slid in the back of me. So it's just, I mean, I didn't get much damage, but I know it hurt him. I apologize that that happened to him, but these green flag pit stops are they're really hard to do here, and it's just unfortunate that he kind of got the back of me.
Yeah, absolutely. A difficult day here at Atlanta. You come out with a top 3 finish. Ox and Dine not showing up today puts you solidly into the top 5 heading into Legacy Daytona in a couple weeks' time. How do you feel about your chances at a play track? Although it's Legacy Daytona, and then your run into the playoffs.
Old Daytona, I have better luck there than I do at New Daytona, but there's not a whole lot there. Like, I don't know why Daytona, I always get wrecked at Daytona. It doesn't matter what league it is. It doesn't matter what version of track. If I'm on the racetrack, I'm going to hit something no matter what. So I feel like I don't know what strategy to do there, because I've been in the very back and there'll be a wreck. I get plowed into it, and I've been the leader and been spun out and been the wreck. So I don't know. It's going to be 200 miles trying not to die. So I don't know. It seems like whatever strategy I'm going to do is not going to work. So I'm just going to wing it and just see what happens. I'm pretty solidly locked into the chase, so I think I might just go for it and see what happens. But as for the chase, there's some pretty decent tracks in there for me, but like Zoltan, Daniel, Shutt, those guys are going to be really hard beating it. And Oxon too, the few races, are going to be really tough to beat.
Well, John, we are going to see what happens. Coming away out of a difficult Atlanta race with a podium, John, who do you got to shout out? Who do you got to thank for your podium finish?
I'd like to thank you guys for being amazing at broadcasting. I'd like to thank everybody who showed up today. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody who works at AGS. I'd like to give a special shout out to Dylan. He's my field guy. He's been doing a great job filling my car up the last month or so. Not so good at fixing the car after I destroy it, but he's been doing a good job, being the gas can man. He got a new Jeep not too long ago. He used the money I paid him to fill up my car, to fill up the Jeep and get the Jeep. So, I just like to shout out to Dylan for being an amazing field guy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Right on. Once again, John, congratulations on your 3rd place finish here tonight. Best luck to you at Legacy Daytona and your run into the playoffs.
Thank you.
Again, 3rd place finisher John Barry. We're going to send it back over to Andrew with our 2nd place finisher David Shutt.
I think I blew it in 3 and 4, the second to last lap there. I don't know if it was aero tight or I overshot the corner, but it just got really tight on me. And after that, it was that was my only shot. Felt like I only had one shot at it, and it didn't work out. But P2 was pretty good. That was better than I was going to finish if the race hadn't gotten those last couple cautions. So, yeah, just another good run.
Yeah, 2nd has always got to feel good, but at this point, it's got to start to feel a little bit old. You're the only driver up front battling with these guys week in, week out that doesn't have a win yet, certainly at least that's finishing consistently with these guys. Do you have any plans maybe to fix that next week at Daytona, and if so, how? Or sorry, in 2 weeks.
Well, anybody can win at Daytona, so I'm sure we'll give it a shot, and either we'll get a good finish or we'll probably wreck. So it really doesn't bother me too much. I'm always up at the front, so that's all that I care about. I'm always competitive with those guys, so hopefully some race will fall my way, but if it doesn't, just got to keep going after it.
So is this the kind of Ryan Newman mentality from 2014 where you just make it into the playoffs, in this case the chase, and work your way through to the end and keep yourself in contention and potentially do this without a race win?
Possibly. I feel like, though, to win the championship, you're going to have to win some races. So, yeah, we just got to keep going after it. Hopefully have some bad races, some wrecks or something like that. Gives the other guys a better shot at it.
Well, David Schutt finishing second this evening. It's certainly going to help you out even more in the points in an already pretty solid position. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out this evening for another podium finish?
I just thank John Barry for the lead, you guys for broadcasting, and just wanted to shout out Falkingham for winning. We ran together on our Le Mans 24-hour team, so he's definitely a good driver, so I'm glad he won.
Fair enough. David Schutt giving a big nod there to race winner Daniel Falkingham. Best of luck to you in 2 weeks at Daytona when we wrap up this regular season, and I can't wait to see how you do in the chase.
Thank you.
David Schutt finishing second this evening. The season gets stronger and stronger for that number 5 car, and eventually the win has got to come along. I mean, we didn't have Chad Oxendine this evening, so maybe that's part of the strength there for the 5 car, which actually raises another question, Emerson. Chad Oxendine not in attendance. Where does that 66 car fall to?
It'll be interesting to see when all the points shake out. If he doesn't make Daytona, then we're really talking about major implications there. But Chad Oxendine, if he were to fall out of his chase and open up that slot, that kind of opens pretty much everything else in that midfield in that playoff standings wide open, and the momentum can fall any of those drivers' ways to maybe have a legitimate shot at that title.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to fall out of the playoffs or the chase that quickly, especially from one race. Missing next week even, I'm not sure that he's going to drop entirely out of chase contention. But let's look at how they came into this evening, and we can see where Chad Oxendine was, as well as, with 80 points back to Howie Briss, I don't know that he's going to fall entirely out. Unless Howie goes out there, maybe wins next week, maybe that would do it. But Chad Oxendine missing this week will certainly drop him below, I think, David Schutt and John Barry, potentially down around the Brett Pancari mark. We'll see how that all gets shaken out. Maybe even down as far as 7th place with Jared Darling, if Jared can get on by him. So certainly, I think a little bit troubling there for the 66 car. We'll see how that shakes out in 2 weeks. I keep wanting to say next week, in 2 weeks at Legacy Daytona. But for now, I got to ask, Emerson, it's not the fantastic, classic Atlanta finish, but final thoughts then from the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Well, it wasn't a thrilling finish. We always have at Atlanta, but it was a lot of fun today. So many different strategies. At TCB pitting so early, and Brett Pancari trying to one-stop. I mean, there was about 25 laps there where we were seeing a car down pit lane, and by the time Pancari pitted, we were only a few laps away from seeing the next batch. I think Pancari pitted on lap 70, and TCB was on pit lane 3 laps later. We had pit stops pretty much from lap 40 to the caution. I mean, we were just seeing action on pit lane, action all around the track. Cars on old tires, new tires, battle tour position, and cars trying to get themselves back into lead lap contention all throughout the day. Very intriguing race. So many different strategies, and the fact that it was relatively clean, especially through all the grab bag of strategies, just says, I think, a lot about the caliber of drivers we have here at NORC, and the low amount of cautions says more about that as well.
Let's take a look at our race results this evening, and Daniel Falkingham, of course, checking in with that race win. David Schutt in second. 50 laps led, though, for that 20 car is pretty special. The 74 car rather finishes third. John Barry takes that bronze medal, if you will. I think that's timely, given we're in the midst of the Olympics. Jared Darling comes in at 4th place. Josh Robin in 5th. Zach Lindgren just shy of a top 5 there on the 85 car. Brett Pancari checks in at 7th. Still a really solid run for Brett. Bobby Cheney very quietly in the top 10, along with Ariotti and Sean Williams hanging on for top 10 finishes.
We'll find our way to the next page here. It'll be Howie Briss coming home at 11th, Sheldon Lockheed 12th. Cole Freilich, we saw, had a huge slide on the back straightaway in the middle of this race. He'll come home 13th. Tom Mercier 14th. Nicholas Caressa, one of the cars who spun on the back straightaway there in 15th. Aaron Smith in 16th. I believe Aaron Smith was one of the cars involved in that 4-car accident with Spencer Ray, Hayes Booth, and TCB. Fittingly, that 4-car accident block of cars 16th through 19th there. TCB, Hayes Booth, unfortunately 1 lap down, especially after Hayes just got himself back on lead lap to be involved in that late race accident. And Cody Miller rounds out the top 20 2 laps down.
Go a little further back, you'll find 21st with Patrick Colby 3 laps down. Then Justin Day, after that initial caution, ends up 22nd. A little ways ahead of Tommy Gossett, who ends up, unfortunately, handicapping Zoltan Herzeg's day, and Zoltan will finish 24th. James Simmons checks in at 25th after he parked it after some misfortune and getting into the wall late in the race. Elijah DeGracia finishes 26th. Will Klein gets credit for 27th, and Michael Keithley credit for 28th position this evening from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Certainly a lot to talk about, and always a lot to keep you guys abreast of here, watching here our coverage of the NORC iRacing Series, but also a lot to talk about with our partners here at Pit Stop TV. Emerson, I'm going to hand you the mic for this one.
Right on, and of course we're going to have our friends at Tucson Sound Out, of course, your picture, your music. Use promo code PitStopTV at checkout for 10% off of your wall-mounted sound art device today. Of course, Pit Stop TV broadcasts are also brought to you by Race Pace Setups. Pick up pace with Race Pace, a community-driven setup shop and driver development program. Also, our broadcasts are brought to you by our partners at Permanent Makeup in Maine. You deserve the best care that money can buy. You can check them out at that website at permanentmakeupinmaine.com. Of course, Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. Make sure you check them out. Check us out, really, at www.pitstoptv.com/whiplash to see how you can get in on trying to get some broadcast cameras or graphics for your next iBroadcast and BAM racing videos, of course, by a race fan for the racing community.
So checking in on some stats over on my other monitor here, I'm noticing that Daniel Falkingham is now just one top 5 behind Zoltan Herzeg, which tells an interesting story so far this season. It's been pretty much top honors or nothing for Daniel Falkingham, but those 10 top 5s are still rather strong, still somehow less than Zoltan Herzeg. And I would imagine that had Zoltan Herzeg not had that incident with Tommy Gossett, we would see another top 5 next to his name as well. Interestingly, David Shutt is right behind those two now at 9 top 5s, and you've got to dig a little ways. You get to Chad Oxendine with 6. So very strong seasons out of those top 3 so far. Herzeg, Falkingham, and Shutt. Of course, Falkingham leading the points, will continue to lead those points into 2 weeks from now at Legacy Daytona. We take a look at some of the broadcasts coming up here on Pit Stop TV. Tomorrow evening, it's a doubleheader here on the channel. We've got the IORL, International Online Racing League. Not quite wrapping things up, but darn close to doing it. It's race 15 of 16 tomorrow night at the Kentucky Speedway. We'll have Trey Shuttlesworth and Eric Brennan and JP Costa on that one. Excited to see how things go from Kentucky. But we've also got the Auto Club Speedway out west. We've got the Outlaws Sim Series. Emerson, you'll be on coverage there. What are some storylines you're expecting to keep up on?
Well, it's very interesting. Last week at Homestead, Jeremiah Stutzman takes the race on a late race restart from the dominant Greg Holt. Again, that's 2 weeks in a row where Greg Holt led a lot of laps and was not able to get it done. We head to the Auto Club Speedway, where last season Jeremiah Stutzman got it done on field strategy, albeit, but Jeremiah Stutzman with that win at Homestead heading into a track he won at last season. Looks like a lot of momentum for Jeremiah Stutzman early in the season. Will the Performance Sim Sport guys really get it together and string together maybe a win here at Auto Club tomorrow night? We'll have to see what happens then.
And you'll be holding the fort down for us a second day in a row then on Thursday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. We'll have coverage of race number 2 for the North American Racing League. GT3 cars back on the channel. So excited to bring Scott Reister and crew to Thursday nights here on Pit Stop TV for 8 weeks straight through the summer. Road Atlanta this week. One of, if not the best road course in all of the US of A. Certainly Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta takes the cake, I think, in several categories. And it's a shame that I can't be there with you guys. I'll literally be across the street when you guys get going. I'll be at Linear Raceplex with Track Pass at NBC Sports Gold. But I do wish that I was virtually, at the very least, if not in reality, there at Road Atlanta. A fantastic course. Fantastic course. And I can't wait to see how things go with those guys. It was a lot of fun last week. Can't wait to see how things go this week. You can find all of these broadcasts on our social media channels as well as our Instagram. We'll have social media coverage on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as per usual throughout the week. But you can specifically find the broadcast on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. You can see some links there at the bottom of your screen. And Emerson, we've rolled out a brand new social media schedule as well, and there have been a lot of posts that you, myself, and Trey Shuttlesworth have been very involved with this week, and I think it's looking pretty good. So tell these viewers what they can expect here in the coming weeks.
Absolutely. We'll be doing, of course, some race recaps the day after some of these broadcasts. We have Overtake of the Week, Pass of the Week that went up today. Paint Scheme of the Week. Other goodies for everybody to come check out. Again, going all throughout the week on our Pit Stop TV social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You won't want to miss all of those posts. And yeah, come see it, especially if you're one of the drivers in the series. Come see if you make some of the social media posts in the coming weeks.
Certainly, if you're a driver out there watching, or be it live or after the fact, you've got a chance to make Paint Scheme of the Week every single week. And that's certainly one that you want to watch out for, along with other stuff like Pass of the Week, as Emerson said. So many different things that are coming your way here on Pit Stop TV and all of our social channels regarding all of our leagues that we broadcast. Can't wait to get it all rolled out. Can't wait for all you viewers to check it out. Make sure you do so. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, all of those platforms, all the usual platforms. You can find us here at Pit Stop TV. Can't wait to see how the coming months go. That will do it, however, from the virtual Hampton, Georgia at the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're so happy to have had you watching along this evening, tuning in and joining us for tonight's action of the NORC iRacing Series in Season 13. 17 races are now knocked out of the way. They are done and dusted. It leaves one race of the regular season and then 7 races of the chase until we crown a Season 13 champion. A whole lot is going to happen in the coming weeks, and you've got to stay with us here at Pit Stop TV for all of the upcoming NORC iRacing Series action. For all of Pit Stop TV, Emerson Arden beside me on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth over on our social media coverage. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and we thank you again so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.